if my information is correct, we are indeed live. We're loud. I hear it. You know, normally we can get set up earlier, but we each morning try to, Lefty or both of us today, try to greet the governor when he comes in down at the State House. Now we got some intro music. Now see, that sounds like the beginning of a podcast.
What I'm talking about.
Welcome to beautiful downtown Trent.
I'm gonna get mine. I'll do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't tell me how you're off and down. When you're smiling in my face, but you play me like a clown and you fool bitch. So just step back. I'm mad dad when I come down straight. I thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I'm full of doubt. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with?
Lefty.
Let's roll. I'm back on the scene. It's time to get mean. I'm a lean. Revolution machine. For what people stay, they sway. For today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly this, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises over the top. Don't cross the line, but you know it's mine. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty. Let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? 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 Who you wanna roll with?
Good morning, Tony. Good morning, Trenton.
Good morning, sunshines.
Oh, you grabbed.
Good morning, sunshine. How are you today, everyone? Hello, Trenton.
You know, I did everything I could to get our bumper music up today, in time, and it still is not working for me. I don't know why.
We're not bumpering?
YouTube is not bumpering me.
Bumper.
Bumper me, YouTube.
We need a bumper.
We need a bumper, YouTube.
I need
Kick
a
it.
bump.
Can't start the show without the. There it is.
There it is. Get it out.
Jim Wayne,
Jim Wayne with us
how
today.
are ya? Not good? All right, just go F yourself, Lefty. I can't even hear you.
He's like, I'm going to use this chair, but I'm not talking to you.
You cannot do that. You cannot. It's a radio show. You can't sit there and go. That. Oh my God.
No, that's not acceptable.
You were helpful before, now you're hurtful.
Hurtful.
Good morning, Trent.
Hello, Jim Wayne.
I I did a balloon the other day.
Did
it
you?
was like wow, 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 wow.
That's how they should be.
Good morning.
This is way louder than usual out there. You might want to turn it
You want me to turn the volume down a little?
It really is loud.
Really? All right. Well, give me a minute and I'll check it. It should be halfway. Halfway.
Well, I don't, I'm not going to put up, I don't want to put up a sign and say, don't worry how loud it sounds. It's only halfway,
Well, we're competing with a.
No, we're not. It's quiet as hell out there. I just walked out to get that. I was stunned.
Really?
Yeah. It's,
Stunning.
People can hear us.
especially walking right by it on the way in. It's loud.
Yeah, because
I'm being loud and proud. I just don't want to push people the other way.
we definitely don't want to be obnoxious now, do we?
We don't? Don't ask me that question.
Well, I want people to be drawn in. Yeah, I wouldn't walk towards something that loud. Not like people come walking in to see us. But I'm guessing. I don't know what's going on. There's supposed to be a vote today. Probably not till later. The budget vote.
The vote on what?
The vote on the budget. We have to have a budget done and signed
so they
and
don't stop
by
working?
tomorrow midnight. Otherwise, there's
I don't understand
Shut it
why they're
down.
worried about the shutdown. The governor's been shut down for years. He hasn't done anything worthwhile.
it's like breaking a broken clock.
Do they not get paid if they shut the government down?
Yeah. Well, non-essential services, so
So the governor.
should be.
What about the cannabis program?
Shut it down.
Nah, it's just a medical program.
Okay.
But anyway, should be some stuff going on. There is a whole lot of pink shirts walking around the building.
And we have a television truck even.
According to our governor, the medical marijuana program is a dog and pony show.
We need a hacker to hack into that television truck so we can put ourselves up on the TV truck.
We don't want to scare them away.
Yeah.
It would be pretty cool if we had our own little TV truck right there, though.
So this is our 79th
79.
podcast after doing 21 informational protests and adding the podcast to it, which would make today our 100th weekly state police permitted gathering in Trenton since
Number
July.
100.
Yeah, since July.
Name one other organization in this entire state that's got that kind of dedication.
Well,
Can't do it.
not by the number of times they show up.
Our politicians don't even show up that often.
Most don't, and but we show up because we don't have a seat at the table. If we had a seat at our allies' table, and if we had a seat at the table at the health department and the administration, we'd simply be doing that. But we don't. So we have to come here to illustrate that we don't have a seat at the table. We'll burn our own tables.
We need to make our voices heard.
Well, pretty much, people do come out and demonstrate, and that's it. They're done. And I don't know if I would say impressed is the right word, but I remember our new governor, Christie, had his first big demonstration. It was union, because he was going to be the union buster of some sort. And I don't know if it's a teachers' union or just unions in general gathered. But they had many thousands of people here. It was wall-to-wall people up and down the street. And when asked what he thought about that, the governor said, I just had pizza, a little lunch, and a piece of pizza, and I don't care. Doesn't matter. They'll be gone. Now, he didn't say they'll be gone, but that's why he didn't mind. I mean, you don't look out your window for 3 hours, put some headphones on, the crowd goes away, it's like it never happened.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, well, it does get into the media, and when that happens, that's a good thing too. But after 100 times, we don't break into the media just for being here. As a matter of fact, it's an ongoing event. The Philadelphia Inquirer, Jan Heffler, said that we don't cover ongoing events. So
That's why I have to take a bath in the fountain.
Yeah, well, you have to do something special, but I learned that 23 years ago.
And I took a shower before I left the house. Darn it. Missed my opportunity.
That's why I walked across the state in 1993 pushing a wheelchair with marijuana sign on it, because media doesn't just necessarily show up. And, the liberal media, we keep hearing that they are. You think they'd be sitting at the table with us here. but they're not that liberal.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You know. So we have a lot going on that doesn't have to do with what we're doing here today, but in a way it does. One of the biggest fights going on in Trenton right now is the governor trying to tap Horizon for the money to pay for his signature program, Reach NJ. So if you have an addiction to an opiate, you can get help, and your insurance will be mandated to pay for a 28-day in-house stay. That costs a lot. Oh, it's going to cost so much.
And you know what the waiting lists are going to be to get into that program when people try to get into it? Especially if they keep putting cannabis kids into the rehab programs?
Well, you know, they're going to need more programs, and they're like salivating about that. But how he wants to pay is by using what's called a surplus for Horizon. The surplus is a good thing, because if you're on Medicaid and you need to get fixed, there's money, and then there's money in the surplus. So this feels a little like a money grab for something.
It's been a money grab the whole time.
You know, look, if he's going to say, I want to grab this money, how about the question, what's the recidivism rate in the average rehab you're talking about? And what is the price of it? We're getting some wins here. I'm ready for a 10 top to go. I know we got to write it down a little bit, but it has a little lateral motion to it. I can correct that. So anyway,
We might blow away, folks. We might blow away.
If you want money for a program like that, you should be able to say something about the potential success rate of a stay, a 28-day stay, and what it costs. There was never a price mentioned. How do you do that? How do you not mention the price?
They don't want people to know. And they certainly don't want to know that 90% of the people end up back on heroin.
I was going to say that most of my experience, people I know that are going to rehab for 28 to 30 days, they come out and 3 days later they're right back to doing what they were
Well,
doing.
there should be a statistic.
In my experience,
And
the
if
chronic pain...
if there's not a statistic, get one, come back to us ask for money.
The chronic pain doctors that are my doctors, that I speak to as my doctor and my medical professional, have no idea how to take people off of opiates. My doctors have been blown away when I come in and ask for less opiates, because no one does. And they have no idea how to handle it. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to tell their patients how to come off of the opiates.
Well,
they prescribe them. They know how to give them to me, but they don't know how to tell me to get off of them.
It's not part of the program. Reach New Jersey has nothing to do with cannabis. A real simple question would be for the governor.
Wipe out.
A real simple question for the governor
Lefty's girlfriend.
would be, no, the question wouldn't be Lefty's girlfriend. One more
That's
time,
wrong.
I'm going to try this.
No,
Don't.
Lefty's girlfriend fell down.
Yeah. Okay, that would be for people who can't see it. The camera view probably just went askew because it's being held in the mouth of a funhouse-looking portrayal of
Harry Ainsley.
Yeah,
Our cameraman.
so tell me, what was the question I was just saying?
You were going to talk
I
about...
was.
You were talking about how the doctors don't know how to get anyone off of opiates.
No, you were. I agree.
When you came in with something after that. Then it got windy.
I was good. It's the right questions aren't being asked. How much is it going to cost? Is it going to be effective? What's the statistics on it?
Well, they just want to throw money at the problem and think that that's going to help. And all that's going to do is enrich people that have no idea what they're doing and aren't going to help.
So how do we get the answers to the simple question? I got the answer to the rehab thing just by an informal poll on Facebook, and it appears it's in that $25,000 neighborhood.
Yes, I was saying like $28,000 a day.
Yeah, give or take. So I like to lowball it, you know, because if somebody wants to argue it's only $20,000, only $20,000.
Well, but how many $20,000 do we spend to have them back on heroin 3 days
Do
later?
you get a second try after the first 28?
Yeah, that's a good call. Did you see in Ohio they're saying if it's the third time that you need naloxone on an overdose, they're going to just let you die?
Yeah, it's that this is not part of the equation, cannabis. With all we know that
It's
it can
obnoxious.
do, to act in a synergistic way with opiates, that if you asked our governor or anybody use one thing for pain, cannabis or an opiate, and the patient said, I'd rather have cannabis, please. How do you say no? I mean, in New Jersey, you say no.
And they put people in a cage over it.
They say you can't have cannabis. You have to have opiates if it's between the two. I mean, if you have that kind of pain.
And the chronic pain doctors have their patients are literally dependent. Their lives depend on those opiates. And then they ask for cannabis, and if they test positive for THC, those doctors throw them out of their programs and leave them addicted to opiates.
Then we're not doing our job. Plain and freaking simple, we are not doing our job.
Is it us that isn't doing our job, or is it the medical professionals?
No, it is us alerting the medical professionals. We can't escape culpability in this. If they don't know, and what you're saying is true, and it is true, they don't know, that's our job. It's our fault. We are not doing enough. And when I say we, I don't mean you, Tony, you, Jim, you, Lefty, me, Jim. I mean we as a group are not doing enough. We have the key to the opioid epidemic. We have a way to get a 25% reduction in the overdose death rate due to opiates, according to the American Medical Association.
The lawmakers don't want to listen to us.
Then that's our fault again. See, this is...
It's not, though. It's,
yeah, Tony,
it's
I've heard
money,
that.
money.
Okay, I've heard it for 20 years. If we can't crack that code in 20 years, this is why I'm not doing it anymore after this year. If we can't do it, I'm done. If it doesn't get done this year, I'm done. If it does get this year, I'm done. Done, or done. I have not done what I set out to do. I haven't been able to gather enough people around, present company accepted, and we just don't have. There's 1,000 or 250 pink shirts walking around down there. When's the last time we had that for cannabis? It's
not even on 420.
It's the people who do the pointing out of the problems, who do nothing about it. And you on Facebook know who I'm talking about, or should I be more specific? There are people that have done stuff and aren't able to. There's a fair amount of them who would like to do more, but
there's
can't.
people that are really sick and
for
can't.
many reasons. But here's the deal. I'm not saying come out here. I'm not saying come walk the halls. I'm saying, what does your representatives think about what you just told me? You know, now we go the extra mile, so I'm not going to say what do your representatives think, because I'm hoping everybody's been in touch.
My letters are written
at one time or another. But the people who bitch about something and do nothing to affect a solution are doing nothing but bitching. Therefore,
what good is a cynic without a better plan?
You know. So anyway, I'm really growing extremely disgusted with the amount of people that do point out salient points about problems we have and how the program can be so bad. And not even a head nod to the fact that we've been up against a brick wall and still made strides. You know, so the program's so bad that it's helping save lives of veterans with post-traumatic stress now.
Absolutely.
The program sucks so bad that we were the first state in the country to allow a Schedule I substance, cannabis, on school grounds.
That's
New
right.
Jersey.
That's big.
Not Colorado, not California, none of the rest. New Jersey. You know, so we've made strides. Before it would be people couldn't just walk across the street and use their medication, and now people are complaining about I shouldn't have to walk across the street. I don't mean us, you know, we get to complain.
Whoa.
Oh.
What was that?
I don't know.
He set the microphone down. Dunk.
No, that was a pop.
Carry on. Don't stare at me.
Yeah.
Don't scare us.
No, I don't know.
Lighter.
It was a pop sound. It popped. So anyway, yeah, it is our fault. If we can't convince people, once we let them know what the problem is as much as anybody, and we try to let them know what the not solution is, but the first step is to be in touch with your legislators. Guy, it's so easy.
Letter.
Nobody does.
Write a letter.
Copy and paste. I swear to God, I'm going to start. I don't have people's exact addresses, but I have to go to Facebook, take screenshots, and then look up what town that person lives in so I can deliver that screenshot to their legislator, because they do not change
You know what?
the
Let's-
address on that and send it.
Let's start something right now. If you are out on Facebook land and you have not yet sent your legislators in New Jersey letters telling them about your opiate use, your
'Cause they-
cannabis use, what you believe, what you feel, what you think, contact
Chris.
me on Facebook and we will write the letters for you. We will figure it out. I will send them to you. You will mail them. We'll make it happen. Anything that we got to get this done.
Thank you, Tony.
That's what I'm talking about. We need to beat that drum because we can and have gone into the State House they have the legislative minority, Assembly minority, Assembly majority office, Senate minority, and then a Senate majority office. So we go and deliver letters from legislators' constituents to the offices that they have in here. Not their individual office, because that's like too much work. And even we don't like to do work. But we can help people be heard and start that discussion, and that's what drives legislators, what they hear about things. And they don't need to get thousands of calls, but they need to get more than none.
Right.
You know, and I
It,
think
it would be nice for like 50 letters to get in just to show, hey, we're thinking about this, we're on this.
one of my
I would like all the people that are coming off of opiates with cannabis. Those are the big ones we need. We need those letters.
well, or just anybody. I vote. Here's how I feel.
Absolutely.
I know
Participate.
somebody.
Take part.
You know,
Take part.
But in the easiest of ways. It's not about showing up. It's just. It's so easy.
No, I show up because I have nothing better to do, and it gets me out of the house and makes me feel healthy, like I'm doing something. But the whole participating by writing letters and talking to your senators and telling your lawmakers what you want to do, that's important.
It can be short. They probably really don't read much of the letter. Matter of fact, it's their aides and staffers that read most of the letters, and they bring some to the top for their eyes. But short and sweet. I support our medical marijuana law, including 250,000 more people. What's wrong with you? Why can't you get this done? Boom, off. That's it. They check a box. Because if you ask somebody how many letters you get in favor or against, they do come up with a total if it's something worth totaling up. And right now, people who are against it write as many letters as people who are for it, even though they're outnumbered 8-1 at least, maybe 9 or 10-1 now.
Oh, and a lot of those people have their money involved in the pharmaceutical industry, so they're writing 5 letters a day if they think they're going to lose money.
So maybe we need to start paying people.
Hey,
Speaking of which,
I could use a paycheck.
I'd like to do something a little bit like what I did a while back. I offered a reward, I think it was $257.47 or $247.57. I forget which. It was a little reward poster they put in the Ocean County Observer paper at the time for anyone to facilitate discussion about medical marijuana between me and then Assemblyman James Holsapple. Obviously, nobody could. The reward was safe. It didn't matter. But my plan is for people like Senator Gerald Cardinale or anybody who seems to rise to the top of their cesspool to be one that speaks against. They do not come and have the courage or the conviction, certainly not to this table. And we're intimidating maybe, but it doesn't have to be at this table. It could be in their office. It could be anywhere. And they refuse. Now, Cheryl had a thing about hit and run. Did not like hit and run. If you have something to say about this in a legislative capacity, and it's against cannabis reform or medical marijuana reform, that you have an obligation to speak to those directly whom your opinion affects. And it doesn't happen. So, Tony, picture yourself, you're a legislator. You don't want to talk to me. That's pretty easy to picture. Suppose it became public that what's a charity you like? I mean, really, anything. If you had
Purple
money,
Heart.
Excuse me?
Purple Heart.
Okay, Purple Heart. What if somebody offered a $500 reward to Purple Heart for 30 minutes of your time, having a discussion to verify things you've already said publicly?
I would do it all day.
You would. And what would happen if you didn't, though? That charity would not be receiving that money.
I would look like a
for-
jerk.
you'd almost have to take it out of your own pocket. It drives the point home. And I think that it would be possible to have a list of people we're trying to draw out for discussion. And you could donate towards that. And if it got to a
I
point,
got $100 on Cardinale.
a point of refusal at one point, there's a time limit on it, then it moves to another one, you know. But we would have reward posters. We'd have the amount being offered. We'd have the reward posters here. So Jason Arnold, suppose there's a legislator that was against medical marijuana and it happened to be, which it isn't, but your representation, if somebody said, you get $500 if you get them to agree to a discussion on this, wouldn't you make the effort? I mean, this is what I want.
Just to agree to the discussion, not accept it, but to just be open-minded to it.
You know, he needs to show up because I've grown weary of watching the national news on what somebody says and then what they do or don't do compared to what that.
Senator Cardinale.
They'd have to show up, but it's not hard to find out what people's charities are. So it's not the money for Gerald Cardinale. He must have a favorite charity. It's for his charity. If he doesn't have the courage of his convictions about cannabis to the point where he denies his favorite charity $100 even, you know. I think
$100 is more than 10% of my monthly income. I'll donate.
Well, but you know it's safe too. You know that it's like a pledge, and should he have the discussion, and it has to be recorded. I mean, when you have raw footage each of something, the other person can't really say something out of context. You know, take one quote, it looks bad without you having the footage to air before it. We want protection, equal time, and civility. But if I were having a conversation with somebody, I try to draw them out and make them uncivil. I like that because in a court of public opinion, when two people are having a discussion and one is being really rude, you almost don't hear what it's about. You just don't like that person.
Right.
You know that he doesn't have enough truth to back it up, perhaps. And as in the case of the late, not-so-great Terry Farley, when he was head of the Ocean County Narcotics Strike Force, and I had to have a discussion with him on It's Your Call with Lynn Doyle, and we occupied the same room before the show. They put lions and tigers in the same thing. And I went at him mercilessly. I just lectured him in his face, and he said, this conversation is over, like he said many times before. And I said, well, I'm still talking, and I know you can hear me. So half the conversation is going on. If you open your mouth one more time, we are having a conversation. And he turned to, and like he was looking at paperwork, and like a drill sergeant, I put my head right next to him and started like berating him. And then I stepped back and said, can you even hear me? You know what he said? He said no. You know, so I had to.
You hear me? No.
I had to say to my brother Tom, I said, Brother Tom, let me introduce you to Terry Farley, the first one out in Simon Says when he was a kid every time. You know, he was the one they made do the Simon Says thing because he always lost. So my point was I got under his skin so that he was surly in the interview. On the way there, as we're all walking out and he's red-faced, he said to the person leading us out, can I use the bathroom? I said, yeah, you better let him, you know. And, you know, even that.
And splash a little water on his face.
And then, when they went to a 2-minute break, I berated him at the desk all the way up to the back in 5. And then I stopped, took a sip of water, and he was sweating and red-faced and mean, you know. My point is, if somebody didn't want to have the discussion with us because they're afraid we might be rude or uncivil, they should know that's to their advantage. It's all you got to do is sit there and take it and you win, even though we're right. It's the only way we will lose a discussion.
Full disclosure, I don't have to be uncivil because my facts are rock solid and I have paperwork to prove it all.
Nice.
That's the intended look of it. So I want to work on that, and I want to see if there's any problems with the board members of the coalition. that we might want to offer rewards. Because if we can't get a seat at their table, we'll try to buy a seat. And we could then get a fund for that, come up with, how it might work. Because I think the money's safe. I just don't think it'll happen. When's the last debate you saw between a legislator in New Jersey and anybody about cannabis in any way, shape, or form?
Never.
Ever. Why?
I almost had my chance with Cardinale on Monday last week.
They debate all the time.
I missed it.
No, but even that, it would have been, he turns that around. There's only so much time. It has to be equal time and civility so that you get to be talking. And if he interrupts, he's using his time. Out of, say, 20 minutes, you can't go any more than, 2-minute advantage, one person the other. In his case, though, he's just going to be putting rope around his own.
I had to walk out several times because he just kept going on and on about cannabis causes brain damage.
Let's examine that. Then you stop. It's. Wonder how many things do you know that if you hold your breath, you're causing brain damage because you're killing brain cells faster than if you were breathing freely?
Indeed,
So what we need to do is end competitive swimming because it causes brain damage.
Good point.
Yeah.
Cannabis doesn't even cause brain damage. It changes the molecular chemistry of the brain in certain parts because it activates certain parts and deactivates certain parts, just like every other drug you put into your body. Cymbalta causes brain damage. Zoloft causes brain damage.
Well, I just think another thing we need to do is have really good bullet points. Things that just... And if cannabis causes brain damage... I just watched White Men Can't Jump last night. The beginning's really, really funny. It is a good movie, right?
Right.
But what happened is when... Wesley Snipes found out that Woody was suckering him, Billy Ho was suckering him, and it came down to that last shot. It's like, now, if I lose, I'm just a doofus. But if you lose, you lost not only once, but twice to white doofus-faced Billy Ho. Exactly right. If you're going to call me somebody that has brain damage because I've smoked cannabis since 1970, shouldn't you want me to come have the conversation?
That was what I was
hoping.
hoping
Watch out,
for.
because if you say I got brain damage and I can beat you in a conversation, it's that whole same white men can't jump point, So if you demean somebody and then refuse to have a discussion with them, it doesn't look good. But if you demean somebody before a discussion, and then they whoop your butt in a discussion, you got beat by the person you just put down. So what's that make you?
I was saying and I literally walked out of the Senate that day, so I didn't yell at him because he was insulting me over and over and over again.
Here's something, if you find yourself in a situation, you might want to try, because I almost did this during the original Bridgegate hearing where a man named David Wildstein pleaded the fifth 140 sometimes. I was so tired of it, I was going to have an outburst and then grab myself like this and lead myself out. Say, don't bother, I'll escort myself out, and give myself a yank and go. It's just, go ahead, take a shot sometimes, because they're just going to kick you out.
Yeah, and it was such a good day, and everybody was having a good day with the whole cannabis legalization. I didn't want to be the rude guy that screamed at the senator.
No. Look,
I was very close to it, though.
There's always another way, dude. Man, come on, you're a cannabis consumer. Put your hands over your ears and go, no, and walk out like that, I just can't hear it, I'm sorry, starving kids, hurt animals, and bullshit like this are three things I can't stand. So anyway, Gerald Cardinale, he's on the list. They don't have Senator Holsapple. He's on the list.
I pledged the first $100 for Senator Cardinale.
I'm going to find somebody in my district who doesn't appreciate Senator Holsapple any more than me, and we'll have them as the first two, and hopefully I'll have the wanted posters up by next week. Jason, we're going to need a date on that thing we're going to be doing, because I'm starting to talk to people about that. First thing they say is, do you have a date? Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling out. I'm trying to see people. I know people who might be able to come in on a train. I mean, the train station's right there. So I'm going to.
Our main thing with it is we don't want to start prematurely. Like there's a lot of people in the cannabis communities. There's a lot of active people right now, and there's a ton of people that know a whole lot more than me. So
well, so anybody listening might know what we're talking about. This is for initiative you and Flip Marley are undertaking.
Yeah,
and others.
Me and Flip, we created an initiative. It's called Trenton Cannabis and Community Awareness. So basically, with this initiative, we're looking to start enlightening the people of Trenton, the whole Mercer County, and tell them about the benefits of decriminalizing, the benefits of cannabis, just all the great things about it. Like, there's still a lot of old stigmas out there that people believe in, that, like y'all was just talking about, cannabis causes brain damage and all types of madness or whatever. They're all lies. So that's why we like felt the need to create this initiative, seeing as though there's a lot of talks of legalization right now. And yeah, I really believe like next year New Jersey is going to legalize cannabis. So we want to like help prep the residents and yeah, keep them up to date with what's going on.
I think it's really important to get the community of Trenton involved also.
Yes,
we don't want them to feel like they're being left out of it.
Yeah, because like, I mean, you guys are out here every week, and people just walk by constantly all the time. People get little snippets of what you guys got going on, but we need to start reaching out more. I mean, we're doing it, I mean, to the people who are aware, but we need to reach out to the people who are still unaware. So that's what we got going on.
And it's important to me that the people of Trenton know that, like the white boy from South Jersey that drives up to Trenton all the time, like I'm not trying to take Trenton's business. I'm coming up here fighting for my business down south.
Yeah, because even last year, I'm sure it looked real crazy going up to the Trenton police station, smoking out, you know, talking about white privilege and everything. And I'm sure there's a lot of people like, oh, these damn hippies, they
I
come
believe
around.
that. I'm sure they do.
You know, they got their medical cards. Like,
hey, we're fighting for you too, folks. I
exactly,
swear to God, we
like,
are.
This is for everybody. Like,
This is fun laying on the ground.
we're with you, Lefty. We bearing with you.
Come hang out. I'll smoke with you right here.
Shit.
We got pretzels.
Free pretzels, everyone. Salted pretzels at that.
Salty pretzels. But so the Trenton Cannabis Community
Awareness.
Trenton Cannabis and Community Awareness. I like it.
Yes, has a nice
With
ring
Flip.
to it.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
It's important right now. I mean,
Need to
there's
get
a whole
Flip ass
industry.
out here to talk about it. I'm tired of being a damn spokesperson.
Yeah,
for
come
this.
on out, Flip.
Flip, where you at? I know you listening, watching something somewhere.
Flip, you're getting called out live.
Trenton needs to know about the Trenton Cannabis and Community Awareness Initiative.
How's Lefty doing down there?
What kind of response have you received from the community so far?
Oh, the community's been like very responsive, appreciating. I mean, waiting to hear more, waiting to see more of what we got in store, and like I really feel confident about it. I really even feel that we could get city council involved, a couple members of city council. Like if it's done properly, like the vision in which we have, is going to really help bridge a lot of gaps that's going on in the city.
Are you still going to try and push for the decriminalization, or are you just going to wait and see what legalization happens?
Nah, we're definitely, I mean, doing a lot of research. I mean, getting statistics and facts. I mean, to approach council and other people's for, I mean, that decrim. But it's a real tedious process. Like, there's so many facts and statistics that has to be followed, and we don't want to just, I mean, come approach them rambling off all these facts and statistics. We also like have to keep in mind they might be totally unaware of cannabis. Like they just
you have to
like
come,
they don't care.
You have to come right in Trenton because you know the war on cannabis is big in Trenton. So.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just still, I mean, glad I got that ace in the hole. We got Al Sharpton talking about decrim people. Al Sharpton, civil rights leader, activist, Al Sharpton.
Respected.
For decriminalization of cannabis. Yes.
When did we get Al out here?
No, I don't see that happening.
Why not? Come on out, Al.
Yeah, it might be possible. We could get
You got Dog the Bounty Hunter out here. Come on, man.
The dog.
Right.
It's called fishing. You know, if you invited 10 people you'd like, but you know they won't come. Man, if you're only right 1 out of 10 times. My example was back in the day I had to write letters to people and I'd get a book of addresses of celebrities, famous people, doctors, everybody. And the one I got a couple back. But the one from the Billy Graham Evangelical Association saying in Cheryl's case we would hope there would be an exception since the benefit marijuana brings her. and this is a long time ago, and have the Billy Graham Evangelical Association. He rules the Bible Belt. He is the Bible Belt.
So
in
supportive of medical. That's interesting.
Yeah, Oklahoma, Kansas, Northern, all these really red states. Anytime somebody from there said anything, so you disagree with Billy Graham?
Right.
You say Billy Graham's wrong, and it was just so much fun, you know. So that surprised me, and I agree. I don't think Al would, but if it appears to be something that might help a direction he's going or is known to go, I don't know. Wouldn't mind. I'm really ready to start asking people to come when we do this, and you mentioned before. We're not going to have vendors, trucks for food. We want to have free food. I love that.
Yes.
I really do.
Yeah, we could take turns cooking on the grill.
We can feed. You know, we could whoever is hungry in the city of Trenton that day. If, as an example, if it's at Mill Hill Park.
Yeah, actually, I went by the amphitheater about 2 nights ago, and I had the whole envision of where the exhibitors and the speakers would be, like the whole layout. Like it's a perfect location.
It is good, isn't it?
It's perfect. That's what I'm shooting for.
You don't have the date set down or anything yet, though?
We have a date, but I'm not ready to put it out there.
No, it's fine. But it's originally I was understanding it might be like more pushback towards the end of the summer.
In the height of the race, the governor's race, right?
Well, here's the deal. Here's what I'm really bad at, and you got to help me. Suppose it was going to be, as an example, 7 weeks from now. I'm just using an example. That's a lot of time, enough time to get something together. Right. If you do something between week 7 and week 6 weeks.
Yeah.
The thing is, if a week goes by and you didn't do anything, you don't really have those weeks now. So if it was 7 weeks now, the only way it is an actual 7 weeks is if we start doing stuff and have a vague plan at least. And I'm telling you guys, that's my weak suit. I got a better 2/3 I rely on to tell me that what I'm forgetting or didn't get started enough. And for this, though, I think it would be worth it.
Yep.
And
when you're ready to tell me the date, tell me the date. I'll be there with pre-rolled joints, and I'll run the grill.
All right, yeah, we'll speak on it once we get off air.
The white boy will come and cook for Trenton. I'll come put my work in.
As you should.
I will. I got no problem with that. Trenton been very good to me since I've been up here.
Yeah, I love Trenton, man. Born and raised. Love the city.
Other than some of these fat cats and these buildings here, I think everybody in Trenton's very nice.
Oh, yeah. I like to try to stay out of that mind frame. You know, it takes me to a dark place. But, yeah, it really is a good city. I know a lot of good people.
And I think with a nice, flourishing cannabis market, you could really rebuild this city, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Some greenhouses.
All throughout the city, there's a couple community organizations that have little gardens all throughout the city. I mean, community ran, community clean.
That's awesome.
Cannabis legalization, home grow. Imagine what those gardens could become.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful thing. Love the city.
And you have grandma out there with the grandkids talking about strains and different genetics and medicine, making special oils, and the kids will be focused in school because they'll have some good sativas. And oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry.
I'll disappear now and then. We have a windy day. We got a man down.
Oh, man down?
Well, Lefty's right here. You know, you can't see him.
Lefty down, lefty down.
Well, for anybody in the viewing audience, that's why I took the camera out and focused down, like I posted on the almighty 2 billion strong Facebook. People see Lefty being a little bit of a shock jock, enjoying himself, being rude and crude with a very valid point, and smoking pot. And they think it's fun.
Yeah, they think we're just partying.
No,
having a great
they
time.
think it's fun. And he's lying down here now because he can't sit up and take part in the podcast. Comes, sets up, has to lay down. No heating pad. You got a heating pad on? Yeah, heating pad's on. And so what does somebody see now? What's he, so stoned he's just laying there? You know, it's...
He's wasted.
You look at somebody, you think they're healthy because you cannot see anything. That is so... I've got no good word to follow it up. That's just plain wrong.
Ignorant.
So anyway, I've seen a lot of demonstrations. I've never seen one where there had to be somebody lying down because they were integral what's going on, not feeling well, and refused to go home or not let it take part. I don't see that.
Every once in a while, you see his hand pop up and he adjusts the microphones or something. Oh, yeah, that too. Or he flips us off.
Yeah. Anyway, it's...
You got your coffee down there, boss?
It's that tenacity that the governor said he really loves about us.
He did say he loves it.
He said it. It's on camera. It's for everybody's viewing pleasure. The last podcast of last year. And
I was there. I saw it.
What do you think, Lefty? I think we should see if we can be in touch with the governor's office and say, here's a transcript of what he said. Here's a link to it or whatever. And we're having trouble representing where he walks in. And since he loves us showing up, and he loves when people display this commitment, we were wondering if he could help us with our problems getting a permit down where his office and everybody is now. Today? Well, with the renovations being done, the People's House is still here. But the people have moved down the street for a couple of years, and we aren't allowed to move with them at this point.
Well, but we're not allowed to be over there or over there.
No, well, we're running out of places. But by the end of the month, the last permit for this month, we have a conflict with somebody else here. And since we've been doing this, there were 3 options right here. Now there's one, and you can't have one option. That's not an option. You need 2 things to have an option.
Yeah, there's no option.
So what happened, we tried. The month of May was like that. We got bumped 3 out of 4 Thursdays. Yeah. People were coming by on Thursday, and we weren't there. People came by on a Wednesday. When we had it on Thursday, we weren't there.
Confusing.
So it's it was clear all this month and the first 3 Thursdays for July, but we're going to have a conflict, and we have time to get started on that and see if there's legal recourse, because the People's House has moved. And you know, it's not like we haven't had problems gathering before. We had tried to have a vigil in 2011 as William Haney was
That's right.
he was the vigil man there. He liked having candlelight vigils for patients. And we'd had a few here for my late wife, the late, great Cheryl Mill. When do you stop being late? When does that happen?
I have no idea. Never. You certainly never stop being great.
Yeah, okay.
And it rhymes, so stick with it.
Well, Jim, you know what? Kim called me back. My good friend Kim.
Really?
Yeah, would you like to hear a message?
Kim Guacamole left you a message?
Yeah, we have a personal number.
She called.
That's our personal number we have.
Really?
Serious, yeah.
Not for long.
Yeah, right. She's changing that.
Here it is. Let's see. I hope you can hear this.
Yes, hi. I would like to speak to Mr. Edward Grimes, the doctor in the food.
Oh, that's not it.
No, I was going to say, that doesn't sound like her.
That's not it. No. Hold on.
Come on.
That's Lefty's VD doctor.
No.
I did not know. Oh my! I'm so sorry. So sorry. I had no idea.
Ooh, was that online?
Yeah.
Sorry. This must be it.
Are you getting close?
Mr. Grimes, your tests were negative.
It's hard when I'm not up on the thing here. Hold on. Sorry, guys.
Oh,
I thought you were laying down on the gun.
he is.
I'm trying to get it together. I'm sorry. It's tough.
Well, let me. You want to go on with this while you set that up, or are you able to do it?
I have it right
immediately?
here. I believe this is Kim's number here.
Can I get Kim's digits?
Oh, that sounded so wrong.
Let's try this one. Could be this one.
Where did you want her digits, I guess?
In my phone. You dirty old man.
Hey, I'm old, but I'm pretty clean. Thank you.
He is relatively clean, Kim. Guacamole.
Mama,
Avocado oil.
So anyway, we do have something. Anyway, back to the real quick. Let us know when you get that set
I
up.
don't think we have it.
Oh, that was a
I
teaser.
thought we had it. Oh wait, here it is. Here it is.
Hi, it's Kim Godon. I'm getting back to you. I'm sorry it's taking me so long. I'm just going back to my voicemail to make sure I covered everyone, and I don't know that I
She
did
got that voicemail.
respond to your voicemail message.
It was like 5 minutes long.
Give me a call back if you'd like, or send me a text at 609-575-8111.
Oh, that was Kim's personal number. Not for long. Oops, she's going to change that.
So, when did you get that?
The other day from
The
an
other
unknown
day.
source.
Okay, that's not
Unknown
good.
source.
That's not good enough. The other day, I need a little more than that.
I got it like Friday or Thursday or
Obviously, it was another day.
Friday. I can't tell you all my information.
No, I need to know about how long.
don't
Because
don't give in the
you
secrets.
called on.
I've had it for about since Friday.
Well,
We should try it one more time.
no, you should get back to her like she suggested. She gave you at least that kind of opening.
I'm ready. I need help.
I will help.
Can you speak for me?
I'll talk to her.
Well, she said. Okay, she said email too. What you really when
She said
you're-
call back or email. Or no, text.
Text. Okay, it would be a text,
Send
but
her a
not
text
now.
and set an appointment.
Not
Okay.
now. It has to be a well-placed, well-worded,
You know what, just try-
bullet point text with a purpose in mind.
Why don't you say, Kim, I
That-
would like an interview at 1 p.m. next Thursday. See if that
No,
works.
I'm busy next Thursday. As you know, my schedule is very full. Running for governor and trying to do the work of the people as the lieutenant governor. Blah 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 blah. It's like the requests. It's
If she wants to come out pro-cannabis, it will help her very much, I think.
it's well, yeah, it would, but she needs something that we give her that she can do. In other words, something that she so obviously can do, a first step. It's not even saying we want you to end up here, will you? We want you to take that first step. We would like to be able to sit down and talk with a member of your staff that can accurately represent your views to us, those that you do have, and be able to take the information. You want to avoid a knee-jerk reaction. She's not going to want to
No, if you just call her and troll her, she's going to get mad and not answer the phone anymore. So,
Yeah, she doesn't have to answer the phone. We'll just text her.
Mike Alonso is on her ticket. Mike Alonso can actually have a meeting with her because they're on the same ticket
that's
together.
What-
Great opportunity here.
that is a great
Nice,
opportunity.
nice, yeah.
Well, she's the top of the ticket, and he's running for
Assemblyman.
assemblyman.
And they disagree on this issue. They have there's a big wall
Okay,
here.
then I think you probably know what the request should be.
Yes.
What do you think it should be, Jason? I'm pulling
The
the request.
I love it.
Okay, here's why. Here's
It'd
why.
be great, I guess, to have
Michael.
a debate
Yes.
site
Yes.
type
That's
deal
what I
with
want.
Mike Alonso.
Well, basically, though, the short version, and that would end up not kind of being the result. We don't say we want you to have a debate. We'd like you to discuss this with a Republican who's running for assembly, who
The word debate might scare her off.
Your
who
ticket. Yes.
who favors this issue.
Oh, my
we
God.
want her
Thank you.
to have the discussion with him, not us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How can she say no to that?
Yeah, he's on your ticket.
He's on your ticket.
Exactly. So that's it. Now, how short of a request is that? We'd like you to have a discussion with Mike Alonso, respected Republican, running for. We want you to have a
31st
discussion
district,
with
blah, blah,
him,
blah, blah.
Let's call
and
now.
he'll report to us. No, well,
No?
you could leave that message if you want.
Yeah. Why not? Might as well.
It'll be a.
Live for the fans.
Yeah. Let's do it. That's what we're doing. We're here for.
Yeah, we could do.
I am
that.
his campaign manager,
I'm going to let Ken Wolski sit down.
Ken Wolski. Sorry, a little loud there. You want to leave the message? Yes. What? Oh, so I can't leave a 20-minute long message? Okay, I won't do that. I will be respectful. I am calling in as Mike Alonso's campaign manager. I'm putting on that hat right now. No? Okay.
Jesus.
Okay. I am Jesus.
Jason, you get it. You
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Gotcha.
You've reached the voicemail of Kim Guadano. I can't come to the phone right now, but if you leave a message, I'll call you back as soon as I can. You can text a message to this phone number also. Please do that because I get those faster. Or if it's about an invitation or something complicated, you can call my office, speak to Elizabeth. The office number is 609-777-2581. Again, it's Kim Guadagno. Leave a message, send me a text, or call my office, 609-777-2581. Thank you so much.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
No.
I didn't hear a beep. Did you hear a beep?
I didn't hear a beep.
I didn't hear a beep.
Start leaving it, and if you hear a beep, leave it over.
Okay. Kim, good afternoon. This is Lefty Grimes. I'd like to speak with you on the air on our podcast that we do every Thursday outside the governor's office. You have a person on your ticket, Mike Alonso, and he has a differing opinion than you on cannabis. And I'd like to know your opinion on cannabis and your ticket, the Republican ticket's opinion on cannabis reform in New Jersey. I believe you're for decrim, and some of your people on your ticket are what do you want? What do you want?
Okay.
Jim? Go ahead. I'm
Kim,
sorry.
This is Lefty's co-host on the podcast. We'll give you the short version you had been hoping for. You did leave him a message saying that he should call you back and leave a message as to what he wanted to talk to you about. Lefty would like it if you would have a discussion about cannabis with Republican Mike Alonso, who is running for the Assembly. He's well respected. He knows the issue well, and we would hope you would be willing to talk to him, and then he could report back to us. Thank you.
My number is 908-616-0682. That's 908-616-0682. Thank you, Jim Miller.
Thank you, Lefty Grimes.
Thank you, Kim Guadagno. And good luck in your re-election.
Of course, if that was a re-election, she'd only be lieutenant governor, so. Yeah. Ken Wolski, CEO, the face and better half of the two of us.
No, I don't know
Coalition
about that.
for Medical Marijuana, New Jersey.
Thank you, Jim.
How was your vacation, Ken? Tell us. You really actually look well rested.
Well, I'm exhausted.
Really?
Yeah, that's what happens after vacations.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we are getting older. So
the vacation was very nice in Virginia. My girlfriend wanted to go to Virginia Museum of Fine Arts and see the Yves Saint Laurent exhibit there. So that's
I like how you say that.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
And we spent a couple days in Richmond. We went to Virginia Beach, and then came up to back to New Jersey. And so yesterday I was sailing all day in Raritan Bay, and a sailing race. And the day before that I was playing tennis. So I had a very good vacation.
How'd the race go?
We won. Well, we came in first.
Out of how many? Is there like two?
Oh no, there were about a dozen boats racing. But
really?
Yeah, but there are different classes, so the final time depends on how much time is allotted, depending on the class of the sailboat that you're in. So.
Well, the first time I went along with somebody on a sailboat race, is a two-man thing. Needed somebody else in the boat. He didn't say don't touch the buoy when we round it. Do you know that if you reach out and touch a buoy, you're disqualified?
No, I didn't know.
Well, don't touch the buoy.
Well, thank you. That's good to know. Yeah, they call it a mark.
Okay, well, there you go. They call me a landlubber.
Somebody brought pretzels today from the pretzel factory. How nice.
I think that was Mr. William Haney, I believe. I'm not sure.
Yeah. He says he's fundraising. He wants to raise $250,000 for the Coalition for Medical Marijuana in New Jersey, selling his flags and his T-shirts.
Nice.
So he's a man on a mission.
Yeah, well, people will be thinking that'll never happen, but it'll never happen if you don't try.
Absolutely.
It might not happen. It most likely won't happen, but you can't say never. That's the difference between taking part and giving it a shot.
Yeah, and we're very grateful for the efforts. We're a 501c3 nonprofit educational organization, as you mentioned. Often, and so contributions to our organization are income tax deductible, and we're very grateful for whatever monetary gifts are given to us. We're an all-volunteer organization. So much of our organization depends on volunteers, contributions, and contributions in kind. For example, the office. The CMMJ office is in headquarters in Trenton. It doesn't cost us anything to have that. It's donated. Legal services are donated to us by lawyers on our board. Obviously, all of your efforts are donated, Jim. Nobody here gets paid. None of our volunteers get paid.
No.
Once in a while we reimburse for certain expenses, but really no one gets paid for their efforts. So we're very grateful for all the efforts of our volunteers. We're an all-volunteer organization, and as we say, we would be nothing without our volunteers.
Absolutely. And we just wish we could turn their help and our own efforts into more tangible results sometime. But before you were here, I quite well covered all the things that we seem to forget, like veterans' lives may have been saved since they're allowed to get cannabis for post-traumatic stress, and us being the first state to allow a Schedule I substance on school grounds, cannabis for children. So while people tend to remember failure and notice failure more than success somehow, especially if it's affecting you personally, if you're a patient or you just are a cannabis consumer. But I'm going to get a little more real with people who say nothing about the law other than how bad it is and it's the worst and it doesn't do this and it doesn't, and if that's all they're going to say, I'm going to be a lot more challenging in the future that along the lines of if a person bitches about something and then tries to find an active solution to it, they are an activist. If a person bitches about something and does nothing other than bitch, they are by definition a bitch. So that's a fact. I mean, I'm just saying that is what it is. So if all a person does is complain, and we try to make it very easy, especially with those who do have the ability to have a computer. If somebody doesn't, it does get harder. But when somebody can post on Facebook something, I'm willing to take a screenshot of it if they give me their address to add to it to deliver to their legislator any given Thursday we're here. That if they refuse to do the simplest of things, which is get in touch with their legislator while bitching about legitimate gripes. I mean, it's not like I'm disagreeing with what they say. I'm disagreeing with the fact that they only say it as if we're not trying hard enough. And we need their help. We need other people's help like that. We can deliver letters for them. We can help you write a letter. We can take whatever it is. I always tell people, I'll talk with you for 5 minutes. I'll sum up what I heard you say as if you were writing it. I'll send it to you. If you like it, send it back to me. And then I take that transmission, print it out, and I deliver that. I can deliver that to anybody's, to assemblyman or their senator, and I can do it right through these doors right here, and I will. So
right there is when you need to tell people how to get in contact with you because you're willing to provide these services.
Yes, and you know what? I'll put my private email out there, and I have a 6-character email, like a license plate, pot4ms@yahoo. Now I say it like that because you got a better chance to remember that than Google, Gmail, or whatever. You can.
And the 4 is the number 4.
Well, and the 4, yeah, POT, the number 4, MS, 6 characters, pot4ms. That's my private email. It's not real private because it's also on business cards and things. But get in touch with me that way. CMMJ through cmmnj.org. I believe we have a way for somebody to leave a message there, do we?
CMMNJ.org, info at CMMNJ.org. Send an email there. I monitor that.
See, obviously, this is our separation of power here. Do we have a way? Yes, he does. But that's what we do good. Also, what we separate is Ken is our news director. Look, he's got notes in the margins of things, and but basically, so much is going on. It used to be 3 years ago we started the podcast. We'd find something. We'd look and feel so fortunate we found something since last week, something new. Is there anything new this week? There's always something new this week. So it's been a couple weeks since you be here. What's top on the news director's list?
Well, first of all, I want to say hello to Jason. He's here today. And did you talk about your initiative here in Trenton?
Yeah, but
and I'm very excited about that.
Yes, I got a lot of motivation from you, actually. I mean, when you was talking about the grant that you were applying for.
Right. Like we didn't get the grant, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're still here, and I mean, we still have to get this information out to the community. So, I mean, that's what me and Phil are working on.
That's great.
Trenton Cannabis and Community Awareness Initiative. So,
yeah, it's so important to let the residents of Trenton know how important it is and what a good thing it'll be to legalize marijuana, to stop the arrests that are so disproportionately affecting the minority communities in the inner city, Jason, and to let them know how they can benefit from the new legal marijuana industry that's coming. So. It's a wonderful thing to do that, and I certainly wish you a lot of luck. If there's any resources that we can give you, or
there is something I think we can help with beyond our resources is our contacts. If we know anybody that other people know of already, there's a few, and actually, if they don't, they kind of should.
Yeah.
It's fun to do that. We're not too far away from the train station. If we could talk somebody into coming, I'll give you an example. Rick Cusick, he's a great speaker.
Sure.
And a long time ago, I asked him if he'd come on to the podcast, and he said he would. Well, I haven't really asked him back yet. I like to pick my moments.
Right.
And he's a cab ride, train ride here and back away. Something that I would do a little extra work for to make sure that we could offer him what it costs to come here and back and a ride from the train station. But he's the kind of guy that can really hold you when he's talking. He doesn't just get up and talk. He's got everything it takes. As an example, and with him being associate publisher of High Times magazine,
former
associate publisher of High Times magazine. People have heard of High Times magazine, So having somebody that was worked with him for that long, who's a great public speaker, I'm going to try to make contact with him. And Rick, if you are seeing this on a stored broadcast, it's because I just emailed it to you, and I'm going to highlight the invitation within the timing of it. So that's my invitation. It'll get to him.
No, Rick Cusick is a great guy. He's a New Jersey native. He lives, I believe, right in Montclair, New Jersey. Although he's active all over the country right now, since he resigned as associate publisher of High Times, he's involved with Whoopi Goldberg's new product, getting marijuana out for premenstrual syndrome. Various. Anyway,
we'll reach out to Whoopi. She'll appreciate the invite, but it's coming, right?
So she's part of he's part of the new marijuana industry. Another example of someone making the transition.
He would be a good one to offer advice, the advice we want people to get.
He's on the board of Normal, New Jersey.
What do you think of the idea that Jason's saying, no, we're not going to have food vendors. We want free food. We want to have free food at the gathering. I think we could probably find people who think that's a good idea that would, there's a couple of things you can grill up, whether it's hot dogs, hamburgers, stuff. When you get stuff in bulk and you get people to support.
One meat company that's going to sponsor us and donate a lot of, meats and buns and things.
Well, great. If they were already going to donate that, and you needed to purchase more than they would donate, if you purchase it from them, you'd probably get a good deal too.
Definitely.
Well, this is good because they say there's no free lunch. I'd like to prove people wrong. There is free lunch one time.
So now you have some events scheduled already, Jason?
We have a date in mind, but we're not exactly ready to put it out to the public yet.
All right.
Still reaching out to a lot of people, getting as many people on board with this as we can, and also like information, like any kind of pamphlets or flyers with different statistics and facts on it. We could always use those.
I have 10-cent hemp bracelets.
Yeah, those most definitely.
I mean, I'm just thinking that if we work on it between now and next week, I think we're going to have a success, because what I explained to Jason before, Ken, is, and you already know, my weak suit is keeping it going week to week. I recognize we have enough time, and for some reason I start wasting time when I realize that. That's a personal fault of mine. I'm not saying it's not. But I'll be needing reminders. So if I forget something and I'm not reminded of it, not my fault, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's how I am.
Well, just to answer one of your questions, Jim, our taping for CMM and JTV had to be postponed. It was scheduled for Monday, this past Monday, June 26th.
Had a man down, though.
But Lefty was not feeling well. As a matter of fact,
the same Lefty that's laying on the ground right now.
That is laying flat out, right on the ground on his back. It's the most comfortable position for him. And so, sometimes that back pain, the pain that he has, is just excruciating, despite medical marijuana, despite whatever else he takes. It's just overwhelming sometimes. So unfortunately, he was the guy that runs the booth there at CMM and JTV at Princeton Community TV Studios.
He's indispensable and irreplaceable.
Yeah. Without Lefty, we don't have a CMM and JTV episode. So we had to cancel that, and we're going to be looking forward to rescheduling it in July. We only get one day a month to tape a segment in Princeton. So
we need an intern the next time you're feeling better.
We'll be back stronger than ever soon.
Yeah, but we need somebody to learn at least a little bit about what you do.
Jason Arnold.
Oh, we're looking at a quid pro quo.
How did I know that was coming?
So Jason, you're certainly welcome to come if you have any interest in doing that.
I've actually been to Princeton studios too.
I'll smoke you up.
So, yeah, I mean,
Well,
it'd be interesting.
It's
check it out sometime.
It wouldn't have to be just you. It's maybe a few or I don't know. I'm probably the least likely person, but I'd give it a shot. I don't think anybody's going to step in and replace Lefty one-on-one, but with two people. In other words, it actually two people could. One could be just watching the camera angles and actually, which camera is going to be on, and the other person could. Who knows what?
Right.
I don't really get to take part because not what I do.
Yeah. Of course, the big thing, of course, was the informational hearing a week ago Monday at the right here at the Senate Judiciary Committee. It was a 5-hour hearing.
That's long.
4 hours and 45 minutes of that was positive. 4 hours and 45 minutes was in support of legalization of marijuana in New Jersey, support of S3195, Senator Scutari's bill. And
was there no organized resistance? I know people are going to resist, like Gerald Carnell, and even though he didn't speak, Senator Holsapple, there's going to be resistance. But
there were 3 people who testified against it. One was the representative from AAA, which is very concerning. He was concerned about the effect of legalized marijuana resulting in more traffic accidents.
More work for them?
What
a lazy bastard.
That's insane.
Even
it's going to interrupt his sleep.
Even though there's no evidence of that happening, that marijuana is freely available now, and it's just not a contributing factor. It's not been recognized as a contributing factor.
References or any supportive statement, just sort of thought.
Yeah, just the idea. But basically, the idea that if marijuana is legal, it's going to lead to more problems on the road. So even though this hasn't been a problem in Colorado. Now, they've manipulated statistics from Colorado. The high-intensity drug trafficking area in Colorado has manipulated statistics to say that marijuana is found in more fatal accidents now. And they're suggesting that marijuana is the cause of the fatal accidents, but they're not saying that marijuana is the cause of the fatal accidents. And in fact, marijuana is not the cause of fatal accidents, but now that they're testing for cannabinoids in the bloodstream of these deceased people, they're finding that more people are using marijuana, more people are having marijuana in their bloodstream. But it's not, it's not been recognized as a cause of increased fatalities or indeed even increased accidents. Nevertheless, AAA has testified in legislative committees, not only here in New Jersey, but also in Delaware, that I'm following rather closely, against legalization of marijuana for those reasons. There was one physician who also testified against it, not representing anyone else, and a parent, someone who identified himself as a parent, not representing another group, who also testified against it. But the overwhelming testimony was supportive. Although there were concerns about the bill and the limitations of the bill that were expressed by a number of people.
So supporters had concerns.
Supporters had concerns, yes. The lack of home cultivation was probably the most frequently cited concern during the Senate Judiciary Committee, and many people were very disappointed that marijuana was going to be legal, but there would be no provision for home cultivation. So they were arguing that this should be a right. This should be a right of people to be able to cultivate their own marijuana. Now, when I testified, I agree that marijuana should be legal, obviously, and that home cultivation should be allowed. I'm one generation off the farm myself. My father grew up on a farm, and so I have farming in my blood. I have dirt under my fingernails. I love gardening, and just the very act of growing a marijuana plant can be a therapeutic thing. Watching it grow, to produce your own medicine and to be able to titrate it for your needs, the specific type of marijuana that you need. So what I offered was a compromise between Senator Scutari's bill, which, although it legalizes marijuana for adults in New Jersey, it does not provide for home cultivation. I suggested that in addition to legalizing marijuana for adults, we amend the original Compassionate Use Medical Marijuana Act to restore it to what Senator Scutari originally introduced and that passed in the New Jersey Senate in February of 2009 as his bill S-119.
And it passed handily.
And it passed handily, yes. And that included the cultivation of 6 plants for any qualified patient in the state of New Jersey who had an ID card from the medicinal marijuana program. And they could either they could grow it or they could designate a caregiver to grow it. Recognition of out-of-state ID cards, so that patients coming from different states who had ID cards, would be allowed to be recognized, would not be considered criminals here
like
in New
drivers.
Jersey. Right.
Or
marriages. Somebody gets married in a different state, and they're still married when they come to New Jersey.
Or prescription drugs.
Right. If you're on prescription drugs and you're prescribed that in California, you can use your prescription drugs here in New Jersey.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
Here we have now 29 states that have medical marijuana programs. We're considering all the members of those 29 states criminals if they come to vacation or visit relatives or just pass through New Jersey. So that's completely wrong, and that was in the original bill that was approved by the Senate in 2009. It should be restored. Also asked.
Was there any? Could you gauge reaction from anybody on the committee? They're hard. They would be good poker players mostly.
The only reaction I really gauged was when I suggested that public use of marijuana not be a criminal offense. I said that only right now in Senator Scutari's bill, marijuana is not going to be allowed to be used in public. So I said that really just makes poor people criminals, because poor people don't necessarily have a private place that they can retreat to use their marijuana. Homeless people, for example, have no private place to use marijuana. People on subsidized housing will be thrown out of their housing apartments if they use marijuana.
Seriously sick patients visiting, or Trenton, I mean, whether it's a sick person, I mean, even that, they couldn't use their medicine in public.
Or if you have infants or people with, frail elderly people in the house and you don't want to expose them to marijuana smoke, then you can't, or if you're using oxygen in the house, then you can't smoke marijuana in the apartment. You have to go outside.
What does in public really mean? I mean, in public, there has to be people around, otherwise there's no public around. It's
no.
Outside of your private residence.
Right, outside of your private residence.
So basically, in an enclosed backyard that nobody could ever have a hope of seeing in, you're not allowed to do that.
Well, the backyard may be your private property.
No, that's
so
true.
That could be private property. It's people who don't have backyards, Jim, like people in housing projects and things like that, who...
I know the price of milk. I feel like I was out of touch with everything there. It's like, Jim, people don't all have backyards. I've never owned a house. I've never owned a house in my life. Point well taken, though. Yeah. I mean, I'm rightfully that you should.
But
say
anyway,
that.
I was very surprised when Senator Lesniak spoke up and said, if you allow public use of marijuana, it's not gonna pass in the legislature.
Well,
that's what he said.
Okay, well, if that's his concern, could we think that perhaps he knows more about this than us when it comes to getting something passed?
Well, he may be right. I don't know. We have support in the leadership of the Assembly and the Senate for legalization, but we really don't.
Well, I would think that he might even be willing to have a real quick explain this to you, because that's not necessarily time or place to get the explanation, but I find as an activist with some experience, sometimes people think it's easier than it is. Or why didn't you do this, or why don't you just do that? And there's always reasons. So, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, that if he's saying it won't get passed, he may have an actual path to why he thinks that he would be willing to tell you more just between the two of you, so that we could understand.
Right.
Because I agree with you. I think that it probably could get passed, but I hear myself saying that. Here's a man that does support us. He has a position of importance, and he's asking us to believe him that it wouldn't get passed. So I'm inclined to believe him until I see otherwise more strongly myself.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's saying that he would withdraw his support, for it. So.
Well, that would be pretty much, I guess if he thought it wasn't going to pass. So. That's one thing, but if it's not going to pass because I'm going to work against it, it's another thing.
Right.
But okay, is this one of these half loaf things? We certainly don't want it to not happen because of that.
Right. So it's obviously it's difficult process. Making laws, and you don't always get what you want.
And it would involve compromise on our part as well.
It involves compromise. It just seems that nobody really is looking out for homeless people and poor people. I mean, the elected officials don't.
No, I agree with you. Then perhaps that could be addressed actually in the bill somehow. I mean, or the senator could tell you why that's not important.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems to me that a reasonable thing would be to allow it anywhere cigarette smoking is allowed. Right. That certainly seems like a reasonable
How many
approach.
people do cigarettes kill a year? 500,000 or something?
Around
500,000.
Around 500,000 people.
And yet children are allowed to pass by and see people smoking as if it's nothing, and they do not even enforce the no smoking rules here.
And you can smoke in your house. You can smoke in the presence of young children who are most severely affected by cigarette smoke.
So there's no laws against this, that which is far more dangerous.
Right.
And that in itself isn't going to help it get passed necessarily. It's also one of those things that, we still hear like, I don't see why anybody should be able to tell me why I can't grow a plant in my backyard. Okay, but it's not going to sway any votes. It's saying that it's not going to sway. So yes, it's a valid point, but it's not going to sway. So I think we might want to ask Senator Lesniak, what can we do to help get it passed? And never mind what we shouldn't do, what should we be doing? Is there a task for the coalition? Informally, because we can't actually try to influence specific legislation, but we reach a lot of individuals.
We can influence specific legislation as long as we don't spend a lot of money doing it.
Well, we don't spend a lot of money doing anything.
We don't spend a lot of money. That's not a problem with us.
Of course, the problem is if they say, well, you can't spend 10% of your money or something like that, then we might have a problem because 10% of what we got's a lot. It's easily spent.
Even the pretzels are donated.
Yeah, well, we do give away hemp bracelets, some, and I find that actually does get a discussion going. We've had many a discussion here because of free hemp bracelets, and when the suit and ties go walking in and they look over and other kids would love a couple of them. And
I didn't bring any today. Do we still have some today?
I have some.
Oh, yeah.
Good. I just didn't put them out today.
So, any more discussion about that? We have some news about the medicinal marijuana program. Bob Kane, Bob,
Oh man, he does a lot.
Yeah, he's been doing great. He's been doing an awful lot. He submitted three petitions to add qualifying conditions: anxiety, migraine headaches, and I know that he was involved in the chronic pain.
I don't know what his third one was.
It may very well have been chronic pain.
Was it anything to do with an exit drug, though? Whose was that?
No, the opioid use disorder was Vanessa Waltz.
Oh, that was an amazing thing to get passed.
Yeah. And to be supported.
A quick sidebar about that. Right now, the biggest thing going is the opioid crisis. Nationally, federally, it's everybody knows about it. Now, the panel that was appointed to add new conditions recommended opiate abuse disorder as one of those conditions, meaning as an exit drug from somebody who's already addicted.
Right. Exactly.
How then is it that we're not hearing about that? I mean, I'm hearing everything about Reach New Jersey, about how it needs to be funded, about we got to tap the surplus of Verizon, all the stuff going on all around this, and I've never heard anything about this recommended by a panel of experts appointed by the Department of Health at the governor's, in other words, these are people that Governor Christie would go, okay, and it came back. That and so much more. But I am growing really perplexed as to how this can be kept out. I mean, I don't have signs up today. It's kind of windy. But it's always with the American Medical Association finding 24.8% reduction in the overdose death rate in states that allow it for pain. That's huge. It's what we're supposed to be doing, having everything on the table, and that here's my problem. I've done the math, and the very low ball rate is 500 deaths per year, overdose deaths for opiates, both illegal and illegal in the state of New Jersey. When I read the national statistics, the breakdown seems to be somehow even be higher. But let's go with the lowest estimate, 500 people. Now, what if the American Medical Association and the advisory panel are correct? And what if New Jersey could expect a 25% reduction in the overdose death rate once this starts happening? That will be. Here's my problem. The head of health, the chairman, Kathleen Bennett, has 6 months to okay or deny this. In 6 months, 65 people will overdose on opiates while she's deciding what to do. That means people will die because she didn't decide right away. She could say now, as the head of health, I accept it, let's get moving on it now. It's that important. But she's not. Now, how is this not going to be objectionable to the general public? I hate to think of it like a playing card, but it's a big one.
Well, yeah, it definitely is.
And I think in the education going to be going on with your initiative, Jason, this is really also a great place to play that card. Say, do not tell us that you're doing everything you can. I haven't heard a word about this. And I'm going to steal a ignorance is no excuse slogan for at least one new sign per week. Ignorance of the endocannabinoid system is no excuse, Governor.
Nice.
Ignorance of whatever is no excuse, Governor.
Yeah.
So we're going to steal that and start coming up with ignorance is no excuse, but mostly it's that the opioid crisis is the biggest healthcare crisis anybody can remember ever, and when they're backing that up by saying at the height of the AIDS epidemic, not that many people died of AIDS as they're dying of overdoses now. That's stark. And that being the case, I read, I forget where, it was Yahoo, I believe. Everything comes out so quick now. That most patients, the majority, if having a choice either opiates or cannabis for their pain, if you had to choose one, most would choose cannabis. That surveyed. Then it should be a choice. I mean, in an epidemic, how can that not be a choice? Why not start with that, and then if you need opiates later? We need to have that argument with people who are trying to hang their coattails on Reach New Jersey and look like addiction is a big thing with them, and they're going to waltz out of here like some sort of opiate savior. And not a mention of the word cannabis. Not one.
Yeah, it's really a question of, who's got the advertising dollars.
Yeah.
If we had the advertising dollars, we could rent a truck like Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield has done right outside the annex here.
Yeah, they got our parking space.
They have our parking space.
And actually, when you walk right by the truck, you're hearing that, not this. Even with the loud volume, this is pretty good loud. You can hear them before and after, but not right out there. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that too, though.
Yeah, it really is shocking and disturbing that marijuana is not being discussed as an alternative to opiate therapy.
It's not even being mentioned.
Yeah,
I haven't heard it.
Yeah.
If we didn't do this, I would not know that. How is that possible? I kind of was blaming us earlier. I don't mean us here, but I mean that any given day, the Verizon is one thing. I guess that's why all the pink shirts were here, hands off my health care, meaning Medicaid. And I'm on Medicaid, so
you're on Medicaid?
I literally have skin in the game here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically, it makes sense because if I didn't have Medicaid, I would have to go to an emergency room where they would have to treat me, and then it would be charity care and whatever. So, like, economically speaking, it's best to take care of you when something first happens and just get it done. Wonder what a truck does cost like that.
A lot.
You don't even have to be there. Well, the fact that they get to do that means that we get the podcast anywhere we want from a parking space. I want to see equal assessment for us when we need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, while you're there is a conflict on the 4th Thursday for next month. Somebody else is going to be here. And,
that would be Thursday the 27th?
Yeah, it's going to be on the 26th. Now, I don't know that it is going to be on the 26th. After reviewing the letter that you sent me, that Colonel Joseph Fuentes, the superintendent of the state police, sent back in 2011 when we had a misunderstanding with a state trooper about what we could and couldn't do. It's very clear that 9 people get to gather not inside a building, as the rule states, but outside a building. And what he said in the last paragraph, just that The New Jersey State Police is committed to protecting every citizen's right to freedom of speech and to ensure all persons have access to the people's house, in quotes. Okay, the people's house.
That's our house.
That's our house. That's the state house. But wait, the people in the people's house moved. So where is the people's house now? It's at 225 West State Street, not here. And according to the Colonel, okay, this is what I'm getting at. It seems like if we are denied the ability to gather there at the of our government, that our civil liberties are being violated. That would be my contention. So there's been contention that our civil liberties are being violated. Who deals with civil liberty litigation? If take it easy, Jason.
Jason, Laura, Parnell, thanks for stopping by with your Trenton initiative. And we certainly stand ready to assist that initiative in any way we can.
Our civil liberties are being violated. If we can't get down to 225 West State Street, that would be my contention. If only an organization existed which assisted people with civil liberties issues. If only such an organization existed, I would think.
Well, you know, I'm not sure about that. I just don't know that. You know, I'm just not sure, Jim, whether or not you know, if say he moved to a place in the Department of Corrections, you know, then you know, would you know, the public is not allowed on the grounds of the Department of Corrections.
Right.
You know,
well, we're not talking about actually on their grounds. We're talking about the public area outside their grounds where people are allowed to assemble.
You mean the sidewalk?
The sidewalk, yeah.
Oh, well, you know.
Well, not the sidewalk. Actually, just inside the sidewalk, there's areas. There's an area right there where it would block nobody from moving by. It's in nobody's way. But here's my point. See it and get it forward to somebody for their examination. It's not
right.
I don't see. This is what I was just saying before. The lawyer know more than me, no matter what I thought. But to not ask would be a mistake.
Well, it's perfectly fine to ask, but you know, I mean, you know, I think we have to focus on you know, what we do have. We do have the permit to be here in the State House, and
I love it
you
here.
know,
but I want.
This is where things happen.
Well,
Jim, this is where the you know, the Senate and the Assembly meet. This is where the business takes place.
It's where we are now. So
you know,
so I know that, and I also know that we're going to have a permit. We have a permit for Wednesday, the day before. I did not get a permit, and it's that I want the ability
Wednesday the 27th.
Yeah, I want the ability to be there, not necessarily.
I'm sorry, Wednesday the 26th, right?
Correct, the 26th we have a permit for here.
Yeah.
And this is where we're going to be on Wednesday, but I want the ability to be there. I don't want to just simply accept no as the answer from the state police.
Well, I don't know that it's. I'm not sure how much effort it's worth putting into that.
Okay, it's worth me writing it up for 5 minutes, you passing it on to somebody there, 10 minutes.
It's.
What do you think, Lefty? I'm buttonholing Ken on air.
Doing a good job.
Wait a minute, you write it up, you pass it on.
I will, except for it would probably mean more coming from the CEO.
Yes.
Executive director.
Executive director. Okay.
Be sincere even if you don't mean it.
I just want.
I'll do the best I can either way.
I'm just wondering, how much of a fight it's worth.
Okay,
trying to
10 minutes.
10 minutes is worth it.
10 minutes.
Trying to buttonhole Governor Christie.
He loves us showing up.
Yeah, right.
Matter of fact, he's the one I would like to ask the state police to lighten up on.
Yeah, but
good point, Ken. We'll try the governor first.
Governor's out of he's out of here in a couple of months. So,
yeah.
He's a lame duck governor. I think we really need to build.
I love the smell of lame duck roasting in the morning. I laugh because we're all laughing because people say
even Lefty in his pain is laughing.
People say when people say we'll just have to agree to disagree. This is people who can do that. It's like I hear what you're saying. I absolutely understand, and I'll put that minor amount of time into it just so I feel like I've relieved myself of at least finding out. Yeah. And it doesn't mean we even need to be there. No. It's just that we could say, for instance, if it was something to reply to the governor, if he said something and it deserved a public reply, I think it would be from down there, not here. But you're absolutely right that other than that, this is the place to be, because this is where it happens. The hearing wasn't there, and it wasn't. The hearing was
right there, first floor,
right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that, and then the people that walk in and out of here are the people we need to meet. Right. I would never give this place up.
These are the decision makers, the policy makers. These are the people we need to influence.
Other than
these are the people who are not going away.
No disagreement there, none whatsoever.
The bureaucrats and the people who are here long term, and the long term elected officials. These are the people we need on our side. We need to convince of the absolute importance of reforming marijuana laws here in New Jersey for so many reasons. Not only because marijuana legalization is the most efficient and effective way to meet the needs of so many patients whose needs are not being met now, but also, as Jason was talking about, to undo the harms that are associated with our current policy of prohibition of marijuana.
Absolutely, and this is also the place where now, with that being closed, the foot traffic of other groups, sometimes where we might even overlap a little bit, this is where that'll be happening. So, I wouldn't give this up here. I love it here.
I was hoping to get Bob Kane on the telephone because he's been in communication with the health department, and so he's been talking to both Sue Carson and representatives of Sue Carson, and who was bringing word to us from Kathleen Bennett as well, the commissioner of the Department of Health. Sue Carson, of course, is the head of the medicinal marijuana program, and about the petitions that he submitted. And it's very interesting. It's information.
Can we get him on the phone?
Can we get him on the phone?
I mean, you have his number and Lefty. Can we get somebody on the phone without you having to get up?
I have his number. I don't know how to manipulate the telephone.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I already got film of you laying there. I put you on camera laying there, and I have still photographs. But that one there, I wish I had. I just want people to know that this comes with a cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's because of Cheryl that I keep pushing myself, because that's true. So that woman did. So if I'm gonna be.
I've heard that before too.
Yeah,
from a lot of other people.
I could be home laying down, but all I gotta do is get here, and you guys can do everything. So hey, I'm showing up.
I remember when I had my back, when I had a bulging disc in my back, and the only way I could get relief was flat on my back, with my knees bent. And that was the only way I could get relief. So I certainly am sympathetic to your need to lay flat on your back, Lefty, when you're having that type of back pain.
Can you write the number down for me?
Sure.
Yeah,
it's written down right here. All right.
And I will call it up for you right now.
This is Bob Kane.
when I was with Cheryl, there wasn't any room for nothing. I had to sleep on the floor, but that's where I was comfortable because I broke my back in '86.
You did?
I can't sleep on my stomach now, or my back will hurt, and back's best, hard surface.
You know, it's just so frustrating for so many people who have submitted either petitions to the medicinal marijuana program to add qualifying conditions or letters in support of these petitions to have to hear absolutely nothing from the health department about the status of these petitions.
Maybe we should take one day and go. We've been to the health department with a weekly informational hearing one time.
Yeah, especially after the medicinal marijuana review panel gave initial approval to 43 of the 45 petitions.
Sorry.
Yeah, we do the best we can here. So Bob will be able to hear Ken.
So we're trying to reach Bob Kane. And for an update on his...
Hello?
Hello, Bob?
Hello?
Bob?
Yes.
Hi, it's
Bob,
Ken.
you're on the air.
It's Ken Wolski from the Coalition for Medical Marijuana, New Jersey. We're here at the podcast here at the State House, Bob, and I was so excited to get your message about, your conversation with the Department of Health officials. And I was wondering, I hate to put you on a spot like this, but I was wondering if I could get you to, recap this conversation that you had for, the people who are listening in on the podcast.
Sure. I'll try and be brief, but what I did was I just called like I do periodically on the number that's listed on their website to check up on the progress of the petition process, and it seemed like a new young lady on the phone, and she put me on hold for quite a while, and she said that she spoke with the director who called the commissioner, and they anticipate adding these new conditions possibly without any further bureaucracy.
That's amazing. Well, first of all, the director is Sue Carson, correct, of the medicinal marijuana program, and the commissioner is Kathleen Bennett from the Department of Health. And so this is coming directly from the commissioner of the Department of Health that they're going to approve these qualifying conditions that the medicinal marijuana review panel gave its initial approval to a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kind of put her on the spot a little bit. I said, it's okay, I'm just answering the question, but do you think it'll happen, anything will happen this year, or would it have to wait for a new administration? And she said, very good question, hold on, let me see. And I waited for maybe 10 minutes, and then when they got back to me, it seemed like they gave me the indication that they wanted to streamline things as opposed to further bog things down.
Well, that's terrific news. I mean, they would actually be cutting the red tape, basically, that they themselves established. After the initial recommendations, there was supposed to be a 2-month public comment period, and that happened several months ago. And there was no indication of when that 2-month public comment period was even going to start. So, anyway, and then the commissioner would have 6 months, and then we would expect the final recommendations of the review panel, and then the commissioner would have 6 months to decide. So it just seemed like one of those things that this could go on for months, and nothing was going to be decided.
Yeah.
At least until 2018, which would be, of course, a new administration there.
Well, I told them how important I thought the medical aspect of it was and how great a job our particular state is doing, that we provide organic, clean, pesticide-free materials to patients, and that it would be great to establish further medical protocols instead of when the legalization comes around, then we won't have that foundation based in health as opposed to anecdotal evidence.
Yeah, yeah. You know, that's a very good point, Bob.
Yeah,
you know?
It's just a conversation, but it does seem like to me I was very pleased by what I heard, but you know, I hope they're acting on that. You know, I don't know how much their hands can be tied by the powers that be, but you know, it seems like their heart is in the right place, and I anticipate hopefully being a patient sometime soon, given the opportunity if my conditions are approved on a finalized basis. They said it would just be, they would be posted on the website conditions. So
how about that?
Well, I'm checking every day before I.
Important to it was very nice that you talked about the program that they have, and you know, we really have that the marijuana that is produced by the medicinal marijuana program really is very good marijuana. You know, it's pesticide free, it's organically
and safe.
And it's safe.
You know, beyond anything else.
Right.
And you know, there's not a problem with diversion or inversion. Like Colorado, we have a good model to begin with, and I prefaced their comments with saying, you know, I looked at another neighbor's collection recently, who the man took his life due to depression. You know, veteran that I know of, but I just think there have to be other options. Besides pharmaceuticals for people, you know, if they choose to try it, you know.
Yes, those pharmaceuticals can be very, very dangerous. You know that you know medical errors are one of the it's the third leading cause of death in America. You know, problems with medical medicine. So there certainly are many compelling reasons to have you know, a safe alternative like marijuana available for so many different conditions. And now, Bob, just refresh my memory. You submitted petitions for migraine, headaches, anxiety, and was there another one?
And chronic pain.
And chronic pain as well. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So, you know, I mean, you've done yeoman's work on this. I don't think any individual has submitted 3 petitions. You know, you know, our
and then followed up.
I mean, you helped me a lot. So, you know, I couldn't have done any of this without you. And you gave me the push, and I wouldn't, you know, or my wife wouldn't be involved, or neither of us would be where we are without coming up and seeing you guys at your meetings. So it's very inspirational.
Well, thank you for that, Bob. Thank you. But you know, I just want to really say how much that you did, and what wonderful work that you do, and following up, as Jim Miller.
And Bob, this is Jim Miller, Bob.
Hi, Jim.
Sitting here nodding my head at just about everything going on.
I saw Lefty's number coming up on my phone. I'm like, wow, am I in trouble?
Never. Lefty, trouble's a state of mind.
Did
you know
I step
that.
out of line online?
It was. I just wanted to say that the taking part that you do is something I get to point to because that's pretty much my mantra. And if I had an epitaph, I would like to be, he took part. I think that's why we're alive. That's why we're here, to take part and interact with others and maybe leave things a little better than we found it. And that, in essence, is what we're doing. But the work that you did on the petitions had to be fairly consuming, time-wise and energy-wise. But what I am most proud of you for is for simply following up. How hard was that? Compared to all the work you did, you followed up. And it's the simplest of things to do, and yet you're finding out at least an indication that we would otherwise not know. So, it reminds me to do a little more follow-up also. Well, good for you, because I need somebody to point to when I tell people that they need to take part. You can't ask people to ordinarily write up things that you did to get those indications added, but the follow-up and keeping in touch with people, I will be using that as an example. That's equally important once you get a ball rolling, to stay in touch with people. Let them know they're being watched, and this is good.
Yeah, well, I mean, in a nice way, I mean, what got me, gave me a push was seeing George Shedlovsky get up and testify as to how many people he sees being helped.
Yeah.
And just a plain statement like that, and then, he's on the front lines. He sees where, the crossover between sick people and they're coming out healthy. And that means a lot.
And he takes a little bit of frontline crap for some of the things he does, in my mind, almost all undeserved. But he just keeps ticking.
It's not an easy job.
No, it's
he
not.
He has a lot of different hats to wear.
Yeah, and what I was wanting to point out myself to the Commissioner of Health is that with the statistics of what cannabis can do to lower the opioid overdose death rate. The average of 25, the 25% figure it gets batted about. Basically, if you look at it statistically, in the 6 months it will take to review whether or not this is good for opioid abuse disorder or not, in that time, 60 people will die of overdoses in that 6 month period. In other words, to say, yes, let's put this in now, rather than later, would be wise.
Well,
and as Ken pointed out,
Department of Health,
they've shown, like Ken said, they surprised us with post and adding it, and they didn't put any regulations in the way that we expected. So we were wrong about that. They did good with that. That's my point, is to think that yes, this could happen. We didn't assume that automatically wait 6 months, because that's how long they have. So you set a good example of how to and with respect ask and in fact push them. How we need to approach it, everybody, I think, stay in touch, be polite, and to the point.
Yeah.
And always say, it's negotiating skills 101 does say you want to say something, give somebody credit for something nice they do while getting ready to ask them for something. So
exactly. You butter them up just like a politician would, right? But anyway,
yes, the way that it works.
The state would ultimately set up like a plan where they could have an outreach program and show people how to vaporize and show them how to use lozenges and possibly help them cut back in a non-intervention style, in a just positive style to curb their overall polypharmacy problems,
Well, Ken, am I right that Dr. Medavosky's office does help patients or people learn with cooking even? So I think you're, again, Bob, very good point, that it's a natural that information on the ways to use cannabis should follow right behind the proper number of patients getting to use it.
Well, the Department of Health could be doing more.
The education and
it would be nice.
But I think their hands are tied. You know, if they had a supportive governor, I think you'd see the health department really grow in a positive way through the program.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the man at the top gets her marching orders from the governor, and the Department of Health marches to the tune of whatever the governor says, basically. So, you know, that's why when I was arguing for needle exchange programs in
fortunately with the cannabis is based in stigma, and like Dr. M said, breaking the stigma with his patients or just people in general is paramount. And you know, getting over the fact that it's being re-legalized, not legalized. It's being re-legalized. Is that, you know, it was unscrupulously taking off the market for political reasons, you know, and it was part of the pharmacopoeia for centuries, you know. Anyway, but I think, you know, that people will catch up, and we're going to keep the Attorney General in check, I think, because the general, what is it, 90% of the population is in favor of some form of positive change, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, they talk about the stigma associated with the opioid epidemic. And you know, part of that stigma has to do with the fact that they're arresting people. You know, I mean, you know, your choice of choice of a drug is subject to criminal prosecution. You know, so I mean, that's where the stigma comes from.
Well, it's an opiophobia is what it is.
Yeah.
And you know, it used to be a crack epidemic, then it was a heroin. Now, you know, I mean, there is merit to it, given the numbers of deaths, and it's tragic, but still, alcohol kills more people, tobacco, you know, in the long run, and indirectly, and I'm not, you know, justifying it. It does, I do think pills lead to heroin, but I think we're approaching, you know, the fix, no pun intended, the Swiss model where they would give out prescription heroin to addicts so people get tired of it. You know, they don't die of an overdose.
Right.
They get tired of it, and they mature out of it. And then they kind of heal themselves because there are medical professionals and they get their dignity back. And, and the overdoses are caused from being alone, you know, and dying alone in a lonely state, you know, so.
Yeah. Jim had to leave. Jim Miller had to walk off for a minute, but we have now Tony Liberty here. Tony, you know, Tony's had his own struggles with opiate problems. So how are you doing with that, Tony?
I've been significantly better, really, with the pain issues. I actually got down to where I was on absolutely no pharmaceuticals for 1 month as like a little test run, just to prove I could do it.
Wow.
With cannabis. With
cannabis, yeah.
With, you know, specially made. I'm making coconut oil with high CBD and CBG isolates. And,
nice.
And different strains like that. And
so keep track of all your concoctions because
I have recipes and everything.
It may be applicable for that condition specifically.
Yeah,
you know?
it helps me incredibly. I mean, I was taking 480 milligrams of OxyContin every day. Well, OxyContin and oxycodone every day for years, literally for years. And once I was able to get on the cannabis program, I was able to slowly wean off. And then once I learned the right recipes to make, it was incredible how fast I was able to like come off of the opiates completely altogether. There's still with withdrawal, and it was still tough, but significantly better than with nothing else. I mean,
well, you know, that can be considered medically assisted withdrawal, and you know, if that were used in conjunction with helping people to wean themselves, like you said, that would be a huge tool for the pain management and anesthesiologists.
And if people could see and feel how it works, maybe they wouldn't be so afraid of coming off of the opiates, because you know, right now most people are just so afraid of how horrible
it gives you hope. You know, the cannabis triggers that short-term, like for PTSD people, it erases those bad memories and it kind of puts you into the present and the future and gives you a little bit of hope and adds a quality of life that you don't have when you're even on a small dosage of opiates, I think, you know.
And anything that takes the edge off of the withdrawal and then adds a little bit of euphoria and pleasure back into it can't be a bad thing, in my opinion.
I was just going to say, euphoria, you know. I mean, how can you be depressed and suicidal when you're euphoric? You know,
yeah, when happiness is a side effect, you know, I hate to say it, but sign me up, you know.
Yeah, for real. Not a side effect most people don't want.
Well, I'd be surprised. You know,
literally, to overdose on cannabis is getting a good night's sleep. You know that. Yeah. So,
but there is a euphorophobia. You know, there is a fear of euphoria. There's you know, some people are just not happy unless they're miserable, and they feel like everyone else should be the same way.
Euphorophobia.
Yeah.
I am afraid to feel good.
Right.
Yeah.
For 3 years, I was doing nothing but.
There are people that I find stop drinking, and the damage has been done both spiritually and physically, and you know, it's hard to just switch like that. Right. You know, I think.
And a lot of people who have struggled with substance abuse too, Bob. You know, they say that, well, you know, it was such a devastating thing that I cannot try even marijuana because that would set me on a path that I do not want to go on. And you know, for those people that may be true, you know, but it's certainly not true for everybody.
Spiritually based programs are like that, abstinence.
Right.
And realistically, you know, I don't drink, and I just do it. You know, I've been to meetings, and I like the mantra of one day at a time. You know, and you do it twice a year, but I don't know. I just feel that I'm just a better person and a parent for right now, not drinking, you know. And
alcohol is probably the worst drug. Alcohol.
I think so. Yeah, it destroys the neural synapses, and
it destroys. It damages every organ in your body. Alcohol does.
Yeah,
it's literally a poison.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you can kill yourself at a single sitting with it. You know, you can kill yourself at a single sitting. My father saw it happen to one of his high school friends.
And most of my legal troubles were alcohol related.
Of course, yeah, everybody's mind too, and that's the gateway drug.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And that's what they're not. You know, I could sit in my little flat or dorm room or wherever and give any number of things a try and not feel like I was losing my wits, you know. But a few, you know, 6, 8 beers later, you know, and I was moderate. I only stuck with beer, but other kids with the grain alcohol, you see serious injury every year, you know. And
I have an elbow injury that still hurts today that happened 20 years ago from grain alcohol.
Yeah, sounds really cool, you know, until these kids do it and they get alcohol poisoning. And you know, we just lost the Jersey kid from Lebanon or up that way, wherever, you know, Penn State.
Oh, Penn State, right.
Tragic,
Yeah, that's
you know?
another tragedy, campus tragedy, you know, fueled by alcohol. Yep.
So, and you know, my son's school up in Rhode Island flat out tells the kids, you know, nothing is allowed, but we prefer cannabis over alcohol use.
They did tell the kids.
And they just, well, it's brown, you know, so I mean, the whole campus just smells like, you know, San Francisco or something. But yeah, I applauded them for coming out.
Yeah, I think that's a very intelligent move.
It is. It is.
And even from just a liability standpoint, if they were just being selfish as an institution, I think smart. If that's as basic as it was, but you know, I think they're just trying to do harm reduction. You know, and you know, the frats are crazy up there. They drink just like any other place, and you know, way beyond my, you know, college days. But it's different from Rowan College, where they send out student patrols to hunt down kids that are sneaking a joint here or there.
Wow.
You know, and so those are the kids that cannot relieve their stress and anxiety and wind up failing school. When you give kids realistic parameters and guidelines, you know, then they feel like, you know, they can take care of themselves, I think.
As long as our society, our colleges, whatever, are encouraging alcohol use and illegalizing cannabis use, we're going to just keep going in the wrong direction, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
We could have such a more peaceful and energetic society if we weren't all hungover every morning and we're using some sativa. And healthier, yeah, healthier is the big word.
And it fits right in with the treatment of others and women, and, you know, that rape mentality that...
It's culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And cannabis kind of gets everybody in an open-minded, caring place, you know, where it's more nurturing as opposed to destructive.
Yeah, doesn't the university seem better, where they're all smoking some cannabis or taking some edibles and discussing politics and, you know, outer space or whatever they want to talk about? That sounds more like the university to me than get trashed and vomit on themselves.
Yeah, no, I almost finished college, but, you know, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm right with you, brother, right with you.
So, some are cut out for students, others are grunts, and that's what I did for a while. So, but yeah, Tony, I saw you at the hearing when we came and testified. When was that? Back in February, and
at the DOH, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, and very compelling story you had, and you're very eloquent in your testimony.
I try. I'm probably my worst judge.
And Danny too. I mean, to hear someone like Danny get up there and say, you know, all that he suffered throughout his life, and you know how this is the thing that helps us now, you know, and it's a better quality of life, and nobody's getting hurt around you. You're not hurting yourself. And in fact, what we're doing is possibly healing ourselves from potential illness, by giving ourselves a component that, we've been missing in our diet for some time.
With these coconut oil-based recipes that I'm making, my mind is more focused and more sharp and more in tune with the world around me than it has ever been, my whole entire life. I mean, I've always, I'm undiagnosed ADHD probably since I was a little kid, and I've always been hyper and teachers were always annoyed by me and throwing me out and whatever. I could never sit still in a college class.
Well, that should be normal for behavioral. I don't think kids were meant to go into a classroom and sit down and behave,
I agree with that. I agree with that.
But we get these labels, and more so, we didn't pop Ritalin as much when I was a kid that I knew of.
No, fortunately, I never did. I was never diagnosed, so I never did have that drug issue there.
But I have two nephews that are both on all-day time-release, whatever it is, Adderall, and it's terrible. I mean, I feel like they're completely dependent on that, and it's something that the teachers and the parents use to keep the kids in line, and if you're tagged as ADHD or on the spectrum, then you get the pills.
Because for me, I was I was passing classes in 4th grade that high school kids were taking, and so I was just so slow and so annoyed by what they were teaching me because I could learn it by reading it in 10 minutes. And I annoyed the teachers because I was moving so fast, and they just never, I don't know, no one ever picked that up.
Yeah, they don't like that.
No, yeah, exactly. They never did.
Like having to deviate from their plan because someone's either too smart or not as smart, or they want everybody in the same bucket. Now, that's not all. I mean, there are teachers just like any other profession.
Yeah, there are highlight teachers whose names I could still remember today because they really took the effort,
It amazes me that physicians and parents will allow their children to have amphetamines like Adderall before they will allow them to have marijuana, to treat these conditions.
Well, it's society brainwashing.
Absolutely. It's mind-boggling.
Or to go the route of SSRIs for depression when they only work for statistically 50% of the people, but the side effects are so devastating,
Cymbalta script almost killed me.
Yeah, and I had a doctor offer me 2 different strengths. I believe it was Cymbalta, and I didn't even complain about my attitude. She's like, how are you feeling? I'm pretty good, except for, and she's like, well, and I hadn't never mentioned anything about depression or anything. They just had these samples, and they wanted to hand them over, and I just tossed them in the trash. This was 15 years ago, but
I had a neck injury, and I was complaining that the pain was really severe, and they told me that the pain should not be that severe, which it ended up being chronic regional pain syndrome, but they took them 10 years to figure that out. So they gave me the drug Cymbalta, and I didn't even know what it was, and the doctor told me that it would make the pain medicine stronger, so I would have a stronger pain relief without taking more opiates.
Messed up.
And I tried to commit suicide twice on that drug.
No, well, I mean, it's not labeled, it's antidepressant, but it's like cross-labeled for pain. And so that's just another way of them to try and move more of it at an exorbitant price, that stuff, And
I was never suicidal, ever, and within a month of that drug, I tried to kill myself twice.
Jeez.
And still hurt today because of it. And still hurt from the chronic regional pain syndrome that hurt, which is why they gave me the drug.
Yeah, they're not ever held accountable either.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll never get anything for any of that, except the pleasure to say it out loud here, I guess.
Yeah. Well, anyway, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Bob. Thank you for your effort in putting those petitions into the Department of Health and to actually following up and following up with phone calls to the Department of Health and on the status of them and to, sort of lighting a little fire under the Department of Health. And hopefully that these people will be as good as their word and to add these conditions in a timely manner.
Yeah, thank you for your efforts on those petitions, absolutely.
Yeah, sure, Tony.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for manning the booth today. And you know, I think as more of a step out of our comfort zone, doctors, professionals, and regular people like myself, and trying to convince my friends, just, you know, speak your mind and call out the wrong, you know, BS when you see it, but, you know, and be active in the community and get out and help people when you can.
Bob, this is Lefty. I want to personally thank you, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
All right, Lefty. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
See ya.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
So that was Bob Kane from down in South Jersey, Summers Point area, I believe, somewhere around there. And so he put in 3 of the 43 petitions that were approved by the Department of Health, or at least given initial approval. And he followed up with some telephone calls. The initial approval was given in May, on May 11th, at the War Memorial in Trenton. And so, you know, there's supposed to have been a 2-month public comment period after the initial recommendations of the medicinal marijuana panel, but there's been no public comment period started, and no indication of when that public comment period is going to start, or no indication of what's going on with those petitions. So it was up to Bob Kane to call them and to light a little fire under them, and they said that they had anticipated approving these conditions within a couple of months. So that would be huge for the medical marijuana program. Gosh, it would allow chronic pain for any reason. That's tens of thousands of people would automatically qualify. Opiate use disorder was one of the initial
you got A number 1 and A number 2 big hits for the opiate epidemic in this country.
So, boy, we certainly hope that the Department of Health is going to be true to its word and approve these conditions in a timely manner.
I don't know how they can possibly not approve chronic pain and or opiate use, as Christie's face is on the television saying we're going to do anything we can to stop the opiate epidemic here in this state. And that's the biggest thing that we can do to stop the opiate epidemic in this state.
It absolutely is.
Guys, I have a question for you. If my card runs out and expires, and I still have cannabis on me and I get arrested, what happens to me with an expired card? Am I a felon at that point?
So you're a disabled patient. You're a cannabis patient.
Yes, I let my card expire.
Your card expires because you forgot.
I moved. Let's say I moved around and I'm very sick and I have cancer. This is actually a real story.
I know.
And what happens to me, though, in Jersey?
I would think they would say, go get your card renewed, and then they would drop anything that they would have.
Maybe a fine, maybe a little bit of a fine.
Yeah, I could see maybe a little fine because you let your card expire, but certainly you're not going to put a patient in jail because his card expired.
Not 6 felonies, right?
6 felonies?
For an eighth of cannabis?
Only in America, folks.
Only in Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah, Apache County.
So was this a New Jersey patient?
No, a California patient named Doug Winther. He's been on the show before. He's a cancer patient. He's dying of cancer, and he's a California patient. He moved around a lot in the area, and his card expired. It happens.
Yeah, sure.
But
my driver's license expires.
And you get a fine, and the judge says, don't do it again.
Right.
But he's facing felonies. He called me the other day. He's very upset over this, and I think we should give him a call. I hope he picks up, because he's a really nice guy, and he's suffering.
I mean, it's really incredible. You're a cancer patient, and you're going to get felonies because your driver's license expired. You know what I mean?
I'd like to know what happens in New Jersey to us.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I called the Department of Health, and they said to call the Attorney General about that question.
Hey.
Doug, you're on the air. How are you, man?
How you doing, man?
I'm
I'm on the air.
I feel terrible.
Well, you did text me first, so what's going on today, man?
Well, you tell me. You were arrested in Arizona for an eighth of cannabis. You're a California patient with cancer, and you're being charged with how many felonies? Yeah. How many felonies?
Yeah, you're breaking up.
All right, how many felonies are you facing, Doug?
Yeah, well, I was arrested in December 15th, on December 15th, 2016. I was pulled over on a bogus charge. They said I was driving erratically through downtown. It's a little small town. The speed limit's 25 downtown, and I was doing probably 15 miles an hour, if even that. You know, I know how these little towns can be, so, you know, I was being careful. I'm unfamiliar with the city, and I had a school zone to go through and whatever. I come out of the city, and I get pulled over by 3 cars, and they jack me up and take my medicine. They asked me for, I told them, I said, well, I'm a cancer patient. So they asked for my 420 card, and it had expired.
You had the card,
so they decided to charge me.
You had the card, though. You showed them the card.
Yeah, I showed them the card. It was expired.
All right, I just want to make sure you actually had the card to show them, though.
Oh, yeah, I had the card. I have shown the district attorney 9 years' worth of doctor statements that I've had every year. They've never expired. I have 1 expired license, and it's because I've had to move so many times in the last year. And my mail hasn't caught up to me. The doctor couldn't contact me. So I had no idea when it expired. You know, it's been a while since I checked it because I hadn't been in California, basically. Anyway, as it turned out, they charged me with 6. You have a lot of background stuff going on, Lefty.
Go ahead. I'll try to fix that.
Background.
Yeah, I'll try to work that as we go. Go ahead.
Yeah, so anyway, they charged me with 6 felonies. They charged me with one of the felonies is a Viagra that my doctor had given me for a sample, and then a little piece of bamboo that I used to smoke the end of my medical marijuana cigarettes, and a broken vapor pipe. I was hoping to get the parts for it in California, but I didn't get up to the place where I bought it from, so I was unable to fix it. So those are 3 of the felonies they charged me with. Another one was less than 1/8 of an ounce of my own personal pot, and some dab that was given to me. So they charged me with transporting and distributing, and what else? I can't even believe these people. They're just out of control. They're victimizing patients for profit, and it's shameful. It really is. The last people, people that are suffering shouldn't have to go through this stuff. You know, it makes it so much worse. The stress brings the cancer back. Everybody knows that. You know.
Yeah, you don't need stress in your life. You're fighting.
I've learned so much. Yeah.
Yeah, you're fighting for your life, Doug, and there's no reason why you're. I don't get this guy. What's your prosecutor's name again? Do you remember his name?
Whiting.
Whiting. All right.
There's, yeah, you know, I thought in this country we had, birthright, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. How can you possibly do this where the government just is so corrupt? There's no regulation. There's no one fighting for the patients except for you and a few other people that, you know, I just can't believe they're fighting this thing. So they're demonizing everything about it. When people are actually, little children are being helped, you know. I mean, cancer patients, people that are dying, get some relief. They're able to eat and sleep, and it's just horrible to have to deal with this kind of stuff. $216,000 bail.
You had a $216,000 bail for an eighth of cannabis.
$216,000 bail, and I was in jail for 6 days.
This is shocking.
And I've never had to pay the bail because I could never afford that anyway. So they've let me come and go on some kind of arrangement, or whatever they call these things. But I don't have the wherewithal to come up with this kind of money, and I've had to hire an attorney now that I can't really afford. All these things just make the life worse when you're suffering from cancer or trying to recover from it.
Doug, what is the next step? Do you have a court date?
Well, the next step, it looks like the 24th, I have a conference to discuss the case. I don't have to be there in court. I can be there on the phone. My attorney will be there on the phone. And hopefully we can get this thing reduced. Yeah, I was guilty of having an expired license. I'll pay a fine or whatever the heck it should be. But don't charge me with 6 felonies and accuse me of being some kind of drug runner and all this other nonsense.
Right. You're fighting for your life.
If I wanted to go back to work, I used to design oil refineries and process chemical plants. If I wanted to go to work, I couldn't pass the clearance. Not with something like this hanging on me. 25 years in the petrochemical industry, now there's jobs out there for people like me, and I can't even apply for these things because, actually, my ex-boss at a great big oil company, begins with a C, has been trying to contact me, but I won't forward a resume or anything because I don't want them to even know of this. This is embarrassing. This is supposed to be my medicine. This isn't right.
No, Doug, I'm sorry.
It's depressing too. I used to be such an up guy, and this has just affected everything. My outlook for it's just the domino effect. I don't feel like doing it much of anything. Heck, I was on top of the world before they pulled me over. I was able to play golf again, something I hadn't been able to do in years. And I was out walking, and I had a good attitude, and I've lost 47 pounds since I was arrested. I don't have hardly any appetite now. I have to basically just force myself to eat something, and I just pick at it. I've lost my appetite. I just, anyway, I hope we can get this thing resolved on the 24th of June.
Well, Doug, I'm putting pressure on him. I got calls into the prosecutor. I'm waiting for callbacks. They're getting pressurized from our end. I'm trying to do everything I can from our end here, and we are fighting for you, and we are praying for you. And we're going to keep in touch, and just let us know what we can do for you, man. We're trying to help, but these people are idiots. I mean, they're just so thick-headed. How do you get through to these people?
Well,
I mean, cancer, really?
They're supposed to be.
Come on.
I saw an article. This morning about the Silent 7. Have you heard anything about the Silent 7?
No.
Well, these are 7 known cures that they're known around the world except here, and the Food and Drug Administration won't allow any information to be released in this country about it. There's 7 known cures. One of them is a cure for Alzheimer's. You know, a freaking cure, not just a treatment. So, Lefty, I love you, man. Thanks for all your help. I don't know what I'd do without you guys. I'm up here in a big place by myself, kind of moping around most of the time. I've got to kind of, if it weren't for my dogs, I'd be going nuts.
Well, Doug, we're going to be in touch with you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, and we'll be in touch next week, and hopefully we'll have some better news with your story, man.
Oh, that's great, Lefty.
Good luck,
Thank
brother.
you so much. You have a great day, man.
You too, man. Good luck,
Thanks,
brother.
Bro. All right. Thanks, Lefty.
Oh, man. I just can't believe what they're doing to this guy. Cancer patient, and they're just putting him through the ringer. Through the friggin' ringer, man.
Add it to the list. Add it to the list.
Yeah.
Well, listen, let's,
Hi, Leo
try and look
Bridgewater.
at-
How are you? Good to see you there, buddy.
How are you and where have you been?
Oh, wow. Hey, guys.
Been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while, man. And it kills me because, when I'm free, it's after you guys are gone.
Yeah.
So today was kind of a rare day for me as of late. And
You
so
got a lot on your plate.
I do.
And I
do.
understand a son that's just learned how to get around on 2 feet.
That's great.
My wife calls him Debo now because since he learned how to walk a couple weeks ago, he walks and he tries to talk with authority. The only problem is that we have no clue what he's saying. So I just act like like I'm just carrying regular conversation, because the more you use regular words, that easier it helps them to learn how to speak.
Yeah, in words that you would like to be called, because he's going to get right back at you.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that as a man or as an adult, you know how part of communication is not just verbal, but it's also body language and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, he has the he walks and you're like, hold up, who are you talking to like that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
where's he learn that, though, Dad?
That's my wife. Because my wife is always like, you see that? That's from you. You get that from you. That's all you. And I'm just like,
we can't back you up, man.
You know what? The crazy part is that I can't even fight it, because it's just like,
yeah.
He's just, and then he has his sippy cup now, so he's swinging with the sippy cup.
Well, it seems like your wife would be the one to identify with that easier. It's be kind of hard for you to do the attitude correction if he's going to emulate.
I tried that the other night, and I said to him, look, man, this is not up for discussion. It's over. I don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, oh my God, no. I just said it's over. Yeah. And he kept going. I just looked at him like, really? You're really going to keep going? It's over. And he walks off. Yeah,
we'll probably be seeing less of you now as this goes on. But what was the deal? What's going on with you?
Oh, wow.
Cannabis related?
Yeah, cannabis related, man. I am now the president of the New Jersey chapter for minorities for medical marijuana.
Well, this is big. You can't go no further than that. Tell us about that right off, because I'm not going to hear the next thing you say, because I'm wondering about this.
Oh, wow. So minorities for medical marijuana, we have chapters all over the country.
Is that an acronym, MMM?
M for MM.
M for MM.
Minorities for medical marijuana.
Oh, okay, good.
And it's headed by our chapter president, Roz McCarthy. She's been instrumental with getting the medical marijuana program in Florida done. And so
there's a national organization.
Yes, it is. It's a national organization, and I actually am now heading up the New Jersey chapter. I just did a change of command with Jameson Bennett, who was the chapter president for both New Jersey and New York. And so he and I have been working really close together to do a right seat ride, and also figure out where we want to go in terms of the chapter. I've had to explain to a lot of people, particularly like the other chapter presidents, because we are a state that's about to go recreational, our verbiage, our vocabulary has to expand to accommodate that in terms of staying on point with our message.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, like a lot of people, New Jersey's now on their radar within the industry. We are definitely on the radar. And this is all brand new news for a lot of people. I've been doing a lot of events, talking to folks, especially in New York and in Pennsylvania. And the crazy part is that when the state does go legal recreational at some point, we'll be bordered by other states who just have medical marijuana programs, except for Delaware, because I believe Delaware will be recreational long before we will. And so when you look at that,
you mean we could get to sign pretty quick, but our regulatory process has known to be painfully slow to where it's implemented. You mean when you say we might follow Delaware with the actual, you can go purchase something?
Yeah, because Delaware is a lot further in the process than we are. So that's why they'll hit recreational with sales and stuff like that. They'll sell their first recreational sales will happen at least a year or two before ours. Give you a timeline. We talked about this. Thinking I've been telling folks, you have 12 months. Get ready to go on 11 months now before the bill will be whatever that bill is, whatever the final bill is, the final version. Excuse me. That'll happen by June of next year. Yeah. September at the latest.
Well, yeah. The candidate Murphy's claim is that he wanted it sooner rather than later because it could be used in next year's budget.
That's correct. I actually talked to, I testified in Senate committee last week or 2 weeks ago for S3195 just to talk about the bills, because here's my issue with the current bill.
Is it one issue or more?
I have a few issues, but the thing is that I already knew that this is just preliminary.
Yes.
Something has to get out there. It's not going to be perfect.
You need something to discuss.
Right. And the thing that I noticed,
this will not be the bill that will be
this is not it.
No.
And I think that especially when you look at the advocacy part of things here in New Jersey, I think a lot of people took that bill at face value.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of infighting amongst the advocacy groups. Folks disagreeing, folks not understanding, this, you can't just say no to this and then you don't want to do nothing else. This is the part where negotiations come about, compromise, and everything.
Well, it's also
a lot of the things that, it's funny because one of the things I thought about was, when I first got started with this and it was you two, we had some serious conversations, and I remember me and you, Lefty, talking about this, and a lot of the things that I now look back on and go, oh man, they were prepping me for all this, and a lot of the things that you and I, Lefty, talked about, they hit it, and know exactly what it would look like. As much as you were right about a lot of things. And so taking that into account, and seeing how it's actually starting to play out, it's like, okay, at this point, we as a state, we as a people in this state, we have to start preparing ourselves for that transition and what it looks like. But there are things that need to be in place from a foundational standpoint. One of the big hot button topics with the bill in its current form is it allows for it doesn't allow for home grow.
That's the single biggest concern.
Yeah, and and so, and through our discussions and stuff like that, and thinking about it, and it's just like, yeah, you know what, Ken's right, Ken Wolski, we actually have the perfect tool to address that, which is let's expand the Kuma laws to allow for home grow. And by doing so, if you don't want home grow in the rec bill, that's fine. But expand the Kuma law, now those very people, the exact group of people whom you are most concerned with not being able to allow for home grow would actually have home grow, because now because the Kuma laws only cover
There's a lot of people
medical
marijuana
marijuana
patients.
patients.
People are going to resent that. I mean, do resent that. I agree with you. I'm just saying that be ready for people that don't subscribe to the let's get the wounded off the battlefield first.
They want to win the battle.
You know, it's you know, but I also once bitten, twice shy. We didn't get half a loaf even with the medical bill. So at least that is translating into a fair fight for this bill. We gave them that by showing how bad it could be if you don't voice your concerns early as opposed to after the fact. So I kind of like the healthy part of the discussion where people disagree, where it doesn't get acrimonious. So, you know, we kind of see all the bases at least. But
well, you know what?
The home grow is just going to be, if it gets right down to it, you got to ask somebody. Is if you were a legislator, you're saying you'd vote against this bill because it doesn't include home grow. It doesn't go far enough.
Yeah, and then, but again, that's when you point out, because I think like when Ken Wolski testified also in committee, and I think he enlightened a lot of the assemblymen that were there. In regards to the Kuma laws and how it could, you know, how the Kuma, how it could be an actual useful tool.
Yeah.
You know, I also pointed out the revenue tax, 5% year 1, 25% year 5.
It escalates pretty good.
Yeah, and I said, you know, I told somebody, I was just like, look, man, you could tell this was written by somebody who didn't smoke. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so one of the questions that was asked was, well, you know, it was said that, well, how do we get that kind of money? And I said, well, let me explain to you. The way us, you know, pot smokers do, you know, one of the things you have to understand is we always go to whoever got the good stuff. And so what you do is don't look at, you know, from the tax revenue, the front end, look at the back end stuff. So what you can do is raise the state limit on THC allowed. Now you're going to always have the good stuff. You know, now you can, now you have a possibility.
It's a fair point, and having been through this since it wasn't even ounces or quarters, it was lids, 2, 3, 4 fingers, depending how thick. And it was $12 Mexican, $15 Mexican, $20 Jamaican, $40 Colombian, and then Hawaii. It's exactly what you said. As soon as it's $40 an ounce for Colombian, I can get $20. Try it. Okay, and that's what rules. So, I think that could work. I got to ask what you feel about something too. I'm having a little bit of a problem with the fact that the bill itself, if passed, the social use bill, would abolish the 7% sales tax on medical cannabis. And I'm thinking that seems like using that as a bargaining chip of some sort, as if to say, here's something else it will do. That could be done all by itself now. That could be that could be something right now that needs to be done, whether or not. What if it doesn't pass? Tough crap. You got to pay sales tax still.
Yeah. I say
medicine?
this.
That's wrong.
Remember when you said get the wounded off the battlefield first?
Yeah.
So if abolishing the sales tax on medicinal marijuana is because it makes for better optics, you know, because of I don't care. However it gets abolished,
they're assuming they're not going to make any effort to do it otherwise until then, is the inference. And what I'm saying is with the wounded off the battlefield right now, that gives many people 7% more medicine now. Getting that off because people that can't afford a month's supply.
Yeah, but you have to realize you are talking to some people who this was just taboo a few years ago. So we got to crawl before you can walk, and that's where you know I literally find myself having conversations with people who never even took it a step further than medical. We're educated. We have to educate them. That being the case,
I would also then advocate for retroactive. And if it's going to take another however long it takes to get rid of the sales tax, it's like if you have documents of how much you bought, it's on record. That it's on record what sales tax was built into the price. That wouldn't have been there otherwise. I say, well, if you really want reparations for people who have been harmed with this, and I do, it'd be like that. If it's going to be retroactive, then I'd think, well, at least they get it back, whether it's soon enough for them or me, eventually. You know? And then I would think that was a good faith effort.
I think
it's
that
not that big a number when
I
you
don't,
come down to it.
I agree, but I think that that's one of those things where let's get it here first, and then it could evolve.
No, I don't.
You know,
I don't doubt that.
It's especially when sometimes you ever had those things where people say I have to see you do it first before I do it. There you go. Now, my other point that I was trying to make was
I pay sales tax.
When we go recreational,
yeah,
we'll be surrounded by except with the exception of Delaware, we'll be surrounded by states, Pennsylvania and New York, that have just medical marijuana programs. Here's the problem with those two medical marijuana programs. Neither one of them allow for flower. It's all oil or, concentrate, but not for flower. And, like we already know, so what you have potentially is you're going to have all that money coming in from Pennsylvania, from Philly on up, and then all that New York City money coming into New Jersey. It's going to be a lot of people.
You mean with diversion money?
Yeah, they're gonna because like if I can go get it recreational in Jersey, I'm on my way.
It's not gonna help us get our law passed if people think that though.
What's that?
That's one of the arguments against it. That will happen, and it will happen. It happens all the time. I would think, would it not be nice if we offered reciprocal benefits to patients? In other words, if you're a card-holding Pennsylvania patient.
Reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
Yeah, reciprocity.
Then at least you could come over here and be able to get and have what you want. I'm not saying wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You go ahead and get some because you're an adult, and you have it, and you are allowed to carry your medicine back and forth across state lines. Then, if we could get reciprocity.
What's interesting to me is that when we're talking about, especially when we're talking about the industry side of things, in particular how it's going to play out here in New Jersey, and from a foundational standpoint, there's so many things that folks have not thought of. 10 years from now, what are we going to have? What are we going to see? What is going to be needed? And when you look at from an infrastructure standpoint, a lot of work has to be done. Now, I do a lot with talking. The projection is somewhere between 1.6 and 2.2 billion dollars in the state of New Jersey. Billion with a B. And so, when we were talking about, the business side and getting the folks here, particularly in Trenton, and this has always been, my goal with Trenton, wanting to bring the industry here, trying to be the vessel by which the industry works through, and enlightening people.
I know more about Trenton from what I know about what you tell me about Trenton than I know in the rest of my knowledge of Trenton.
And so the thing is that, this isn't one of those, I gave a speech a couple weeks ago, and I told the folks, I said, what's funny about this is that I don't have to be hush, hush, quiet. Hey, y'all, this is happening. You might want to get your stuff together. No, I get to be loud about it because it's just that much money. It's and with our problems here in this city, I can't be hush hush or low monotone about it. I am loud. I am very, very loud because this is an opportunity for people to rethink the way they look at cannabis and how they bring in income. It's an opportunity for the city to get a lot more off the state's press. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for people of color and women who traditionally in this industry are the most underrepresented demographic in the industry.
Well, you can, and there's other people here within the city trying to also share this being done.
Right.
It's a fair thing to do. I just hope that there will be the people that I imagine will want to take advantage of this. It'd be real nice to see 5 years from now what legalization looks like in Trenton.
And that's what I think about,
what does it look like then? And I want it to look like it does now. It's
be
the same
reflective of the
people.
people.
It's,
Yeah.
well, the businesses
Yeah,
are
yeah.
reflective of the people when you walk through Trenton.
Now, here's the interesting thing. You know, this is all true. This is all happening. You know, we've been on the front lines, you know, doing the advocacy part of it all. And there are a lot of people who are oblivious and not motivated enough to move forward.
That's true.
And that's the sad part. You know, that's the part where it's like, okay, we're about to miss out on this again. We're about to miss out on something big. We will never be at the basement level, or we'll never be at the end of prohibition of cannabis in New Jersey. And when you have folks who are, you know, coming from out of state, you know, the call has been made, and the industry is starting to respond now. I'm also a member of the New Jersey Cannabis Business Association. I'm actually subcommittee chair for minorities with the New Jersey Cannabis Business Association.
Hand in hand.
Yeah, headed by Scott Rutter, who's the president, and
headed by Republican Scott Rutter.
Republican Scott out of 8th District of Medford. You know, yeah, you know, and he and I have had some really spirited conversations.
I imagine so.
Yeah, but the most beautiful thing about Scott and his leadership with this organization is his willingness to have the conversations. And
that's where it starts.
Yeah, and which is you know, like I tell people all the time, that's what I love about cannabis. It makes strange bedfellows. It brings people you would never think.
If people were willing to simply do that, have that conversation, we would not be here. We would not have.
We wouldn't need to be here. Yep.
We wouldn't. We'd be having the conversation. Yep. We are the demonstration of the fact that it is not that easy to engage legislators as they would like you to think, you know, when you come to the people's house here. So to combine the two with the tenacity to do that, and then to encourage other people that it's time, you don't really need to fight so much now, is just be involved. You know?
Well, you know, it's like, all right, so Roz McCarthy is the president of the Minorities for Medical Marijuana. She's the overall president, right? And and Scott Rutter is the president of the New Jersey Cannabis Business Association, right? And when I have, like, I counsel with them, you know, and when you look at their backgrounds, you know, Roz got into this because something happened to someone whom she loved, her mom, you know, and then, you know, things happened with other members of her family. And she got herself educated, and through her education with cannabis and seeing how quality of life is affected and the whole 9 yards, that motivation for her is what led her to start Minorities for Medical Marijuana. Scott is a whole nother beast. He actually did some reading and talking with people and started questioning where he was on it. He'll be up front and tell you, hey, look, man, the first time this came up, I abstained. And then you know, it's like, really?
Oh, we asked.
Yeah. But
we did ask.
But I also, you know what I did? I also gave him the opportunity. He also, I sat there and allowed him to have the opportunity to express full thought without interruption why he abstained. And when he explained it to me, I looked at him and I said, you know what, man? I said, I respect the way you do things, and I respect the fact that I respect the reason why you abstained. Because my mom taught me that you don't sign nothing without reading it first.
Well, you know, an abstention is something traditionally that nobody really demands an explanation for, because the fact that they abstained, they didn't have to explain why they voted no. And we have so many people.
And that's what he said. But at the same time, he also let me, just the fact that he was willing to let me know, hey, look, man, you know, it would have been irresponsible of me to just say yes to something that I wasn't fully clear on.
Right,
yeah,
or no.
Yeah, or no.
That's
that I'm not fully clear on, and I applaud him for taking the time, because to be honest with you, that's what we want from our elected officials.
Yeah.
You know what, man? If it's going to take you a little bit of time to get a full understanding before you make a decision, go right on ahead, because it seems to me, you know, when you look at today's political climate, you know, that's not something that is happening, you know. And so you know, the fact that Scott, and it made me more comfortable. You know how I am about leadership, you know, and so I became a lot more comfortable. Now, is Scott and I, does Scott Rudder and I agree on everything?
No.
Heck no. But the thing that we, the thing that we do, the thing that we do is that he and I, we pose a united front. Same thing with Roz McCarthy. You know, Roz and I are not going to agree on everything, but she gives me that leeway and that room to express whatever it is that I may disagree with her on, but at the same time, I'm also comfortable with following through with her leadership, because that's where she's at.
We're gonna have to get to the final segment here. Lefty looks like we're gonna have to log roll him home.
I just realized he was down on the ground like that.
Man down.
Yeah, man down.
Yeah. Well,
Lefty, my heart's. I'm feeling it for you, brother.
Well, you sure we got to do some credits and commercial acknowledgement and all that.
Well, real quick, if you want to find me, you can find me on Facebook at Marcel Bridgewater. You can find me on Instagram, same thing. Twitter, Marcel Bridgewater. No, Instagram is Bridge H2O, BRIDG
right now, Jimmy
H2O.
don't tweet, but I'm gonna have to.
I've been I have been talked to. That I have to do this now. I have to be more accessible from a social media standpoint. So it's just like, okay, hey, I'm ready. You know, this is the next level. You know, and then of course, if you worst case scenario, not the worst case scenario, another good case scenario is if you want to look for me, you can find me through the coalition.
You don't have to tweet at 6 in the morning you can tweet any time of day, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to make sure, because it just seems like that's such a popular hour to tweet.
You'd be surprised. You'd really be surprised. But here's the thing: I'm just not good at it. You know, I got to get better at it.
Whatever it takes, though. You're right about that. And I got talked into being on Facebook, and it's.
You need to be, honestly. You know,
it's a game changer.
Yeah, listen, you and Lefty. You know, at this point, what I would like to see is the evolution of Lefty Grimes and Jim Miller, particularly when it comes to this. When it comes to the industry coming here, because actually there's some events and things that you got work coming. I'm bringing some work to you, a lot of work.
Well, you know what I'd like to see somebody that had a really first class operation set up that would say, like, you know, would never want to be a greeter at Walmart, but man, you know, I'd go as an old man. I'd sit there and say, Jim, your job is to smoke pot with customers and tell stories.
That'd be the perfect job, man.
That's you.
And you know what? It's on a volunteer basis. It's not even for making money.
I'm trying to get Lefty in a tie.
I'm trying
to get him in a suit and tie.
Whatever works, man. You know that.
Be specific, because the waist down's going to look like it does now if you don't.
Borders and parameters, man.
Yeah, and just so you two know, I've been far and wide with this. And there hasn't been very many places where you guys' name come up without me having to bring it up.
Really?
Yeah, people know you. A lot of people know you.
Yeah,
you know, just so you know.
Like it's a good thing?
Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, them are peoples right there. They're the ones who got me started. That's Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon right there.
We show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, you know, we're needed. The biggest reason why you guys are going to be really needed is because you guys have, whether you know this or not, you have the roadmaps. You know, with where you're most needed, where there's opportunities. You know, and there are a lot of people who want to come here but have no idea how this place works.
Yeah, wow.
You know, and cause like when I talk about Lefty, I'm always talking about, like, I know a guy. I think he's probably hit damn near every county in the state. And and a lot of them are not even aware of the.
Still.
How is that possible? Because this has been the bane of our governor's existence, and the way he's being run is reflective of that. But things are changing.
It was our last year, though, so we gotta get it done right.
Oh, this is last year.
Yeah, this is it.
It's pretty much it. Well, you know, okay, you say that it's not like it's not like you can't be brought out of retirement if
Yeah.
it was necessary. But
Lefty's going to be like the new Floyd Mayweather.
But it just seems I'd like to plan on success this time, and think that if we have to come back for a special event, however often it might be. I'm not saying we're not going to ever podcast after Thanksgiving. It's just the weekly gotta be here on that day thing.
Pressure.
And no, it's just that I would be hoping, like you were saying, enough people already know about this, so that we could then cross over to, okay, we're going to have a response, and people think, oh, they're going to do something, and it would be almost more special. You know, it's the same podcast, the same parameters, but just on an as-needed basis. Because I'm 65 now. I turned 65 a couple of weeks ago, and
happy belated, brother.
I feel like retiring. You know.
Hey, well, you know what? If I were you, I would hurry up and get rid of that feeling, because, like I said, there's a lot of work that is coming you guys' way.
Well,
I'm bringing it.
I do want to be that greeter, though. You know.
Okay. I want you to be more. I want you to be a greeter in your own Walmart.
Or I could move into the world of assisted living and people who could use it there, because they're going to be totally shut out of what's going on by virtue of where they are.
And if you look at all the things that Ken and them are doing with trying to get medical personnel, you know, certified and familiar with, you know, how the endocannabinoid system works and all that stuff, it's just. This is needed. You guys are needed in more ways than you realize. It's just that I'm one of those people that I had the opportunity to step outside of these borders here, and you know, even outside of the state, and talk and bring the message.
Thank you.
You know, and continue to advocate. Diane Silviano wants me to come up to New York to testify and send a committee for PTSD. That's like it's stalling.
Yes.
You know, and
Gotta
it's
do
just
that.
like, and it's like, you know what? Okay, yes, I'm there.
Now they got a set of steps on their Capitol building.
Really?
They
Okay,
do.
I've never been to
Broad
Albany.
and tall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, and you know, there's some friends of mine. Sarah Stenoff, she's another vet, powerhouse. You know, no joke. You know, and then of course working with Grizzly Bocourt and the Rebel Minded Society, Ronnie Soto and Josh Weinstein with Canna Gather, and you know, Mike Z and them at High NY, and you know, these are organizations who are not in the state of New Jersey, but are just like CMMNJ, but on a much larger scale. You know, and everyone knows everybody else. You know, but a lot of these people know exactly who you are, know what the work that you've been doing, and now that New Jersey is on the industry's radar,
Yeah, we are.
it's like, okay, you know, the good thing about this bill is that you really won't be able to do a whole lot of business in New Jersey if you're not a resident.
You almost could redo the Ghostbusters song, and instead of Ghostbusters, call Lefty.
Yeah, hey, we even have language. You know what's different, Lefty? You know what's unprecedented, and unlike any other state in the industry who has a program, or whether it's recreational, there is language in our bill that specifically addresses minorities and women. We actually had that. It's built in the language of our So it's, you know, that is huge. So when you look at groups like Hood Incubator, you know, Minorities for Medical Marijuana, even New Jersey Cannabis Association, you know what their main thing is now? Not their main thing, but one of their biggest objectives is to see black and brown people and women become more, you know, involved in this industry, you know, and they're doing everything they can to make sure that we don't miss the boat. The problem is that you can lead 1,000 horses to water, but you can't force any of them to drink.
Well,
and that's
it.
That's what we're doing.
If you had a moral obligation or responsibility, it would be to do what you're doing. The rest is what it is. It's
Right.
not up to, you know.
But you know what?
That's also what we do. We can only present what is. We can't create a tangible bill and sign it ourselves, you know. So, and if we can't convince others to do it, we don't. But if you let 1,000 horses to water and 25 drank, that's 25 that wouldn't.
Right.
Otherwise.
And
that's better than none.
It's testimony. Like my thing is where I'm at right now. First of all, I wouldn't be here with you know, if you guys hadn't, you know, taken me under your wing and show me. And I remember you.
It was a no-brainer.
I looked at Jim. He looked at me when we were speaking on 420. And we were like, "This is the guy."
There's
right
March,
here.
actually.
Really? Yeah. You know what?
Yeah,
And it's
sorry.
all on video. We got footage. But the thing is that everything that you were saying, that you two were saying to me that day, you know, you could do this and you could do that and you could do this, and it's like I can, you know, and it's true because when I'm in there, because of who I am, because I'm a veteran, you know, they do talk to me different than they talk to you.
Hell yeah.
You know, it's completely different, and because of that, I can sort of form a weather report.
Yeah.
You know, based on all the things. That's why I said, Lefty, you was right. Damn, you was right.
Have you represented to a legislator as minorities
for medical marijuana?
For medical marijuana.
I did it when I testified in Senate committee. I also talked about being
that's
subcommittee chair.
That's like now you've taken what worked as an individual and piled a lot more volume on it by being a group. As opposed to, you know, when you go in at first as
Lefty said credibility.
Yeah,
that was when we were in the back of the house.
Yeah. I think
and
credibility, you know, is what got you there. But now they're forced to recognize it. You know, it doesn't go under radar because it's always in who do you represent.
Now this is more for Lefty too, because this speaks more to his efforts here. Next objective, Trenton City Council. That's who I have on my radar now. Trenton City Council, mayor, you know, getting with them.
A coup?
Let me talk to him first. Let me give him an opportunity to at least. I don't want them to say I never knew.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Don't mention Lefty or me the first.
As far as decrim, as far as what? What do you want to do?
Well, think about this: when we go decrim, right, or not even decrim, because I want full legalization.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But remember what I said? We have infrastructure issues that we need to start talking about. Yeah. That's it, because there are things about this city that need to be addressed that haven't been in a long time.
Are we confident enough about legalization that we put all our eggs in the legalization basket and don't deal with decrim?
Yes. Because just because of the way
it's an opinion question.
Yeah.
And you know, it's
especially when you talk to minorities and the way things play out, it would be much better.
Yeah.
From a legalization standpoint.
It just still seems that so many people agree with decrim. There would be no harm in saying, I mean, there has to have been an attempt. Well, there was a decrim bill, not this session, the session before, to say, well, let's give the governor a chance to not sign it. Just for the hell of it.
Just to see, yeah.
Only because what if he did? That would provide protection between now and legalization. Because between now and legalization, there are going to be arrests where decrim wouldn't. And it just seems like I agree. I don't want to put what would be effort into it, because here's where the new effort should be. But then just make it a generic bill.
Here's where let me tell you how I formed my opinion, because I went to a city council meeting with Lefty last year, I think it was. It was last year, sometime last year. Me and Lefty went to a city council meeting, and Lefty got up and talked. You know, of course, they wanted him out. But what I realized was,
why?
You know,
why would they want him?
Lefty, is it okay for me to talk about the why? Okay. You know, Lefty, he don't pull no punches. He's a straight shooter. So Lefty went up there and talked about, you know, why wouldn't you listen to Ken Wolski when he tried to bring this resolution, blah, 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 blah. And as he's talking, he starts rolling one.
Oh, yeah.
And those people looked and said, are you rolling? And it was like, you can't do that here. He was like, yeah,
actually, he is allowed to do that.
Yeah, he was like, actually, I am, you know. And that right there let me know. That was the thing to tell me how far behind in our understanding we are. Now the thing is that we, you know, it's a foregone conclusion for me. We're going recreational.
I agree.
And so what I don't want is, I don't want the state to go recreational and then the city of Trenton starts talking about it. No, we need the city of Trenton needs to be talking about this right now, so that when the state does go recreational, we know where we because there are zoning issues that need to be addressed that haven't been looked at probably in generations.
Yeah.
You know,
or ever.
There's what we have to do is get the priority, you know, cannabis being a lower priority for the police officers here. Even talking with a lot of police officers, local police officers here in Trenton, You know, one of the things, you know, because you know what? They're suffering from PTSD too.
Yeah.
It's hard. It is very hard to be a police officer in the city of Trenton. And it becomes even harder when you're sitting there dealing with untreated PTSD and you don't know what to call it. But then you have those ones who are just in it just because they want to kick ass.
Yeah.
You know, and are not part of this community.
The dicks of it.
Yes. And then you have, and so it's like, look, there's an opportunity here where a lot of people can eat. It's just that much money. Did you know that the cannabis industry, I think by 2025, the cannabis industry will account for 1% of all energy use in the United States alone?
Really?
Do you know what kind of, you know how much energy you have to be using how much energy you have to be consuming to account for 1% of all energy use in the United States? That's hundreds of billions of dollars. That's like that's stuff that they build nuclear power plants for. You know, it's just that much. And it's not something that I can be quiet about. I can't. Not with my city looking like this. And Jim, you know, from day one I've been screaming about this and trying to figure out what I can do to help my city.
You found a roost here.
Yes, this is it. Yeah, this is it. And it's something that everyone here wants. They just don't know how to go about doing it.
Well, it's going to be real interesting to see how you ride this wave, especially with the more of a national look at the advocacy being done, which is good because the good things might be emulated in other states as well.
This model can be duplicated. You know, this model definitely can be duplicated. You know, I'm looking for the Lefty Grimes of Connecticut, and the Lefty Grimes of Vermont, and the Lefty Grimes of Missouri, and the Lefty Grimes of Texas. And Alabama.
It's like a eulogy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at them down there, and it's like, everything missing but the coffin.
They all must be silent.
Yeah. It's going to be 2:30. We're going to have to.
One thing you're not going to miss, Jim, is
wind it up.
Is this song right
here? I know.
The Magic Butter Machine.
Want to sing it?
The Magic Butter Machine song? The Magic Butter. Wait a minute. Hold on.
There isn't
it's
like
been a minute.
No words,
You'll never find a butter machine like mine.
Wait a minute, I like this.
The Magic Butter Machine.
You got it, Leo. Wait, we're gonna start over.
Yeah,
let's do this.
Can't you do it in this style though? Or
yeah, baby. Here it is. You'll never find a butter machine like mine.
Yes, Leo.
The Magic Butter Machine. Yes, it's me.
Oh, how me.
Butter.
You can do tinctures.
Butter.
You can make some oils.
Butter.
All you have to do is just dump and forget about it.
Butter.
Bigger, better butter.
Push the button,
better
watch the lights, say your wells, and then good night, because tomorrow is a brighter day with a new batch of butter. Magic Butter Machine. Magic Butter Machine. It is the thing that brings people together,
Yes.
strange bedfellows, and then the weather. Everything is fine with the Magic Butter Machine.
Yes.
Woo! Do the dance.
1-800-420-4334.
What was that number?
1-800-420-4334. MagicalButter.com.
Magic butter.
I love that. That was great, Leo.
We should get in the studio and record that for real. I'll do it, Lefty, for real. We can get royalties off this in a minute, man, for real.
We owe Garen Angel. We owe him a real effort to, lock in on something.
Hey, look, man, the Magic Butter Machine is helping businesses.
Yeah, it's helping.
There are people it is a must-have. If you want to get into the industry and you want to figure out how to work it out, start off first purchase, Magic Butter Machine. Simplifies it.
I know people have gone that way, and there's just no complaints.
Nope, I don't have any. I don't have any. Because you know what? This is the Magic Butter Machine. Here's the thing. I'm trying to usher in a cultural shift and how we do our delivery methods and stuff. You don't have to smoke. And when when I talk about other delivery methods, when I have that conversation, I'm always talking about the magic butter machine. I always tell people, start off with a magic butter machine. It'll make it real easy, because if you look at those YouTube videos and stuff like that on how to do it without a magic butter machine, for a lot of people, that's a little too complicated. That's too many moving parts.
You're sick, forget it.
Yeah, that's a lot, And so it's folks are just like, you're right. And I'm like, yeah, look at my boy Lefty. Look at me. Look at me. Hey, man. Hey. I'm in this fight for life now. I am committed, Lefty. I cannot go back to.
I know.
This is the first time ever in my life, Lefty, that I've literally bet completely on myself. I cannot go.
You're all in.
I cannot. Yeah, I cannot get a DOD clearance anymore. I can't go back to telecommunications.
Really?
Yeah.
So like when we
do it.
first
Wow.
met, you didn't even look at me and go, I could end up like him, doing it forever.
No, remember what I said?
I'm like the I'm the sign.
Remember what I told you that day? I said this is all about my city.
Yeah.
Like how can I go back?
It never ends.
With it looking like this.
You will be old and gray.
Mm-hmm.
You'll still be doing what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But and this has to work for me. But the thing is that I'm not the only one. So like you said, Lefty, I'm all in. The best part is that I don't have to be. And so it's just getting people to rethink the way they do things. I want people to be business owners. The first piece of advice I would tell anybody, if you're looking for me and you want to work with me and we want to talk, don't come to me. Don't come to me, but make sure when you come to me, you start an LLC. First thing. Let's get off the grid.
I got one.
Yeah, I know you do, Lefty. Let's rethink the way we do things. We need to be more organized. All the different advocates in the city, in the state, we have to become much more unified than what we are, because now this is going to be a political thing. And it's not can we have a seat at the table? No, we rightfully take that seat at the table. Because there are people who've been in this for the...
If only we could.
No, ain't no if only, we will.
I've come to understand, and actually at first I objected when a man named Douglas Green explained to me the reason that we don't do things, because I am on a list of organizations nationwide.
Right.
And he said it's like because cannabis we're more individual than a lot of other groups within our own group. And he summed it up by saying it's like herding cats. And I kind of disagreed, but I don't disagree so much anymore. However, doesn't mean it can't be done, right?
No, yeah, exactly, and that's the point. I think we just need more people to be more critical to know how this is working and how it all
like
goes.
Like you said before, let's lead them to water, and those that will drink will, and we can help make that happen.
Did you just call somebody?
Yeah, hi, Honeybee.
Yeah, she helps end the show.
Oh, okay.
From Oregon, it's Honeybee.
Hi, Honeybee.
Hey.
All right, guys, look, I'm getting ready to go. I got to go pick up the kids.
All right, Leo.
I'm on
Thanks
daddy
again, brother.
time.
Thank you for your leadership, as usual. You're the man.
You know what?
We love
Thank
so
you
much.
all. Thank you for your leadership
You're
and
the best.
guidance and counsel. And this is not the end of it. I will continue to. You're needed. I need you. Okay. And I love you both. All right.
Love you, man.
All right. Take care.
Leo Bridgewater leaving the house. The State House Annex.
Yes. Honeybee, anything to report out in Oregon, out in the lovely state of Oregon?
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
I just woke up, though.
Oh, wake and bake, Honeybee.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. I'll see you guys later.
So
And how's everything over there?
I feel like crap. Nothing's helping me. Nothing.
Oh, no. Nothing?
Nothing. I've tried everything. I've even tried medicinal orgasms. That's not helpful.
With your magical butter machine? Oh, my goodness. Funny.
Oh, yeah, I can't win. But,
Well, you should make some magical butter styles and put it on your neck.
I have, yeah. I'm just, I don't know. I'm at a loss. I'm eating a cupcake right now, made with a magical butter machine.
Oh.
It's so
Oh,
yummy.
nice. What kind is it?
I don't know. It's a double
What kind
chocolate.
is it?
Double chocolate something.
Oh, yum.
Cashew, praline.
You can make all kinds of
marshmallow,
things with it.
Chocolate, organic, orgasmic. It's orgasmic.
Use the other
Space-
mic. Use the other mic, Cindy. That thing's done.
This mic?
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. Yes.
Okay.
Orgasmic space cakes.
Well, I want to thank our sponsors, cmmnj.org, for helping us be here to medicate. SativaCross.com. Sorry, lost my page. NewJerseyWeedman.com. New Jersey Weedman still sitting in jail. 120 days, is it now?
I heard he stopped his hunger strike today.
Did he
Is
stop
that
it?
true?
Well, they're going to put him in a hole.
Oh, is that what? Or they were going to stick a tube down his throat or something?
Yeah, so he's doing a hunger strike on the DL. He's going to restart it again. He's got to do it on the DL. It's crazy. It's just it's insane what they're doing to that man.
Torture, right? I thought it wasn't allowed.
So support the joint. Support NewJerseyWeedman.com. Happy Daddy Products. DavidVersusAutism.org. Blue Planet Biotech. Run New Jersey. Medical-Freedom.com. Get your State of Compassion flags from Medical-Freedom.com. CannaSense. Get your medical cannabis card from CannaSense from California. Not that it helped Ed.
What, he had a card from California?
Ed has a California card. He's still sitting in friggin' jail.
Well, isn't the new law going to allow cards from other states? I read that.
Where? In Scortari's bill? No.
Yeah, well, what Joanne
Joanne's,
put up.
yeah.
Did you read that?
That's very informative. Joanne's amazing. Oh,
yes,
God.
she is. So.
Good stuff.
Yes, she is.
Yep.
Yeah, she spent a lot of time on that article.
There's a lot of good stuff in there.
So,
If anybody didn't read it, they should.
Get your medical cannabis card from CannaSense. New Jersey Grannies for Grass. Tuffy's Fight. We love Ricardo and Tuffy and the whole family. Good job.
All the time.
Legalize for Lorelei. JacksonStorms.com. Prayers for Sarah. Prayers for Pete. Jenny's Purple Ribbon Journey. Jenna's Journey. Women's Veterans Collective. Now that's a good group right there. That's a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
What are you going to do against a bunch of girls coming at you? You ain't doing nothing. You're going to run. Bunch of women coming. Yeah, bunch of mad women coming at you. You are going the other way. No. Weed for Warriors, another great group. So yeah.
What about them veteran guys?
Oh, you like the men?
Oh God, yes.
Oh God, yes.
The Warriors. Project 22. Shout out.
And the reason why we keep doing this every week, and the reason why I get my ass up out of bed to do this in horrible pain, is because of this list here. Just people that aren't here anymore, and that suffered while they were here.
A lot of people have passed. What about the pharmaceutical death? Mickey is gone.
Oh wow, Mickey Martin.
Mickey
What
died.
happened to Mickey Martin?
I think it was it Viagra? I mean, that was his last post. Did you see his last post?
What was his? What did he die from?
I don't know, but his last post, he asked what the world record was.
I saw that.
He was going for 7 hours there, and I think you're supposed to call the hospital or go to the hospital within 4. I know he spoke
Is that confirmed that he died from Viagra, Cindy?
No, it was
okay,
not.
well, let's not spread rumors.
I'm not.
I just know I saw that
I'm
post
saying
though.
the post.
I did
his
see
last
that.
post. That's what I
scary.
said. It is
I don't know what
very,
happened
very
to him.
scary. You know,
he was a nice guy. He was a great activist.
And a lot of people, they commented on that post and reposted it.
Saw that. Really sad.
Yeah,
man.
it was really, really
Diane
sad.
Fornbach is very broken up because she was very good friends with
Yes.
him.
Yeah, what a shame, And these people get punished for smoking a non-lethal, non-harmful, the side effects are like nothing.
Did you know who Mickey Martin was, Honeybee?
No, I didn't.
He was an activist.
Yeah, he was an activist from out west, wasn't he? Out west somewhere, or was he around here? I don't even know.
I'm not quite sure.
Not
Yeah.
Jersey. He wasn't from Jersey. I know that. I want to smoke with that
I'm
guy.
not sure.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go through our list here.
Hey, Lefty.
Yes.
Lefty.
Yes.
Do you have time for Rulo real quick?
I don't think so.
Or do you want to make another time?
No, we're
Okay.
way over. So yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay. I'll just let him know.
We're on the list now, and
it's coming to that time, the sad time where we all have to realize that, you know, the law is not written to help people or save people. Sometimes they wrote it for the wrong reasons, and obviously outlawing a plant like marijuana and punishing people and making them suffer the way they have for all these years, and so many of them had died because of the unjust law, the immoral law, you know.
Well, the first person on our list is Cheryl Miller. She fought for us, and she fought in pain. She fought without arms and legs while Jim pushed her around the state.
Well, she had arms and legs. She just couldn't use them.
Yeah. MS.
I'm just saying. You know, it's like, it's crappy that everything you say is so spot on about her pain. You know, one time when we were going to Rhode Island, actually, and she passed out on the Connecticut Turnpike, and I have no telephone. You know, she's already laying back, and she absolutely passed out.
From the pain?
No, just from MS and things. And I kept going. And so for about 20 miles, she was head to the side, jaw open, you know, she looked dead. And there was no even reason to stop because there was nothing I really could do. She was already down. Like, I could already.
Yeah.
You know.
What are you gonna do? Yell
Well,
for help?
She's breathing. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just that.
Where the help?
It's serious, but I appreciate that you do bring up how that was for her, and I see how it is for you. You're in more pain now than Cheryl would be at times, a lot of times, except for when rolling onto her left shoulder it caused undue pain. But the whole point of trying to realize that and remember that is because of the people who are in pain right now, like you and anybody else who is in pain that isn't being helped, that could be helped. It's as simple as that. They're there. Somewhere in this city right now, somebody's crying out in pain, and their loved one is helpless to help them, and it's causing a whole scene, and it's somewhere. You know it is, at law averages.
And it's traumatizing for every single person involved. And it's just so sad.
Worth showing up for, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd much, well, I'd much rather be here.
Oh, yeah.
It's therapy.
It is. Sabina Rose didn't make it here. Her parents made it here. Her dad, Phil, stood here at a podium and cried about why he couldn't get what he needed for his daughter. How his daughter died in Paula's arms.
Right before Christmas, right?
Yeah.
24-hour seizure.
Merry fucking Christmas.
Yeah.
Isn't that a song, an actual song?
Horrible. Oh my.
Yeah, beautiful little girl.
Diane, from Lou Gehrig's disease.
That couldn't have been easy.
Poor thing.
And not just her, it's family, her husband, Joe. It'll affect you, being the helpless one.
And more people need to get involved and come down here to help stop the suffering so that they don't have to.
They could stay home, write a letter to their assemblyman. I'd be
just
happy camper.
do something. Stop the suffering, the needless suffering. It's not fair.
Gracie died, she was a little girl. Cindy Mae died, she was a little girl. Jack from Colorado, a little boy.
They'll be back next month. Jenny and Jack's coming.
No,
This is somebody else.
Jack's. This is another Jack from Colorado. This is the
Oh,
Jack
okay.
that died.
Jeez, how many people
Yeah.
are there that were?
So many, and
Yeah.
children, so
Sorry
many
about that.
children.
Jackson Storm should be here
Yeah.
soon.
He got a speaking
My bad.
device.
Yeah.
So I've seen he's doing better.
Marie died from cancer.
Cancer sucks.
Joan, William's mother. Randy Robertson. Chad died from brain cancer. You remember that?
Oh, I miss.
Couldn't help him.
Miss Chad. I
He
miss
needed
Iris.
he needed oil 2 years before he got
Oh
it.
yes, he needed it as soon as they found
mean,
out.
come
and
on.
They weren't even told about it until 2 weeks before. They gave him 2 weeks and said maybe you should check into cannabis. You know, and look, he lived what 5 months.
Yeah, he had 2 weeks to live, and he lived for 5 months, and his quality of life improved, and it was just he needed more time and more cannabis.
And his mom had so much peace just having that
his poor
extra
mother.
5 months. Oh, she was such a beautiful woman.
Poor mother.
Yeah.
After the
And she
father
lost-
kills himself.
Yeah, she lost her husband because when he found out he had incurable brain cancer with 2 years to live, he shot himself in the head. You know, if marijuana was legal, he would have had hope. So, I mean, Chad would have been here, no doubt in my mind, and his father would have been here, and the whole family would have been together. So look at what it creates because of this stupid law, and they want to lie. And
We can do better.
yeah, the laws are all about lies. You know, it is a medicine, and the federal government wants to.
Colette died from MS.
Yeah.
Jeremy's a victim of the drug war. He was in drug court. His family was victimized by an armed gang that came into their house and just broke up their family over a plant, which would have saved me and gave me a lot of health. That plant that Jeremy grew was beautiful. I really could have used that. A lot of patients could have used it, but no, that plant was thrown away. Or maybe the cops just took it. Who knows? Maybe the cops took it and smoked it themselves. Who knows? Who knows? We don't know because of all the corruption the drug war causes.
People get killed over a plant.
A rough time today. I'm sorry. All right. Oh, no, I'm not sorry.
That's okay.
I got to deal with it. So do you. So Troy died from pancreatic cancer. Matt died. Russ Perry. Roger Barber. We tried Jim today. We tried. We went fishing. We're going to keep trying. I did look up that bill number, and I have it on my timeline. Jay Arletto. Honeybee, the last name on this list is for you.
My sweet son, Michael Dillon.
I'm sorry.
You know, I think today he would be here if the pharmaceutical medicine wasn't so hard on him. And he'd had to go try different pills, and he just didn't like it.
How old was he?
26.
Wow.
We tried RSO, we tried different, ways of cannabis, and he just couldn't keep up with it. He didn't have it all the time. And
He didn't have the supply that he needed, right? And the
No.
quality.
Right.
That's sad.
Right.
Horrible. You know, we need access to this. This should be our God-given right. It's
Right.
not fair that, we have this right of not being allowed to have a plant that we know has so much therapeutical, medical, that can help, 750 diseases. So.
It's an amazing
Yeah.
plant. So, like Lefty says, give 10% and help others.
At least. Do what you can.
it would make a difference in a lot of people's lives. A lot of people are suffering, and people are being added to our list because of it.
The list is growing constantly. Just about every week, it gets really devastating.
It really is.
Mm-hmm. But I guess
It's a
you're
very
ready to
difficult
close
time,
in
and-
here.
Yep. Are you ready, Lefty?
Yes, Honeybee, go ahead.
All right. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.